But
have you come up with a name yet? Besides Garage what is it? Garage Cast.
Besides Garage Cast, I have no idea what we're calling this.
It
What
could
I
be
do
the Wes and Pony Show.
Yeah,
I
you
saw-
could call it that.
If I saw that title, I'm not clicking on it.
I would not either.
What is it? What's
know
on
what-
the why?
I just don't know what that is.
Do you know
The
what
Wes and Pony?
Do you know what a pony show is?
I just know that there was a show called something Pony Show.
Oh Lord, Jesus.
Oh boy,
So what was on this pony show?
I'll let you Google that. Might want to clear your browser history after that.
Clear it. Wasn't it a radio show though?
Actually, no, I do think there's something like that.
I'm seeing like a radio show.
I think
in
there
my
was
head.
like a radio show, something about that.
So that's not a name that we're doing.
No, we're nothing. No, nothing like that.
Okay. Well,
But we do have a guest.
yes.
Guest who is a frequent flyer on, as far as hunting partners of ours. Most people, if they're tuning in, might not know. But my brother Wilbur.
What up? What up?
His
Wait
name
a
is-
minute.
What?
Wilbur.
Yeah, we can not do Wilbur.
Oh, sorry, William.
That works.
William Christopher Smith.
That works.
There you go.
And the backstory with Will is he's been my hunting partner since day one, since he could walk in the woods and fumble around, and I would scream and yell at him and make him cry and be like, Will, what the hell are you doing?
Shut
Pick
up.
your feet up. God. Dude.
You know, the man behind always thinks the person in front is louder, and the person in front
Yeah.
always thinks the person in the back is louder. You know what I mean? You just can't hear your own
Very
steps.
True. Very true.
That's like, that could be a life lesson right there.
Actually,
you
I think
can
it's
almost,
just Will saying that because he is the loudest.
bro.
So he wants to justify.
Don't even give me that. I'm like a
Dude.
ninja. You should have seen me getting out of my in-laws' house this morning at 5 a.m. I was like a ninja. Didn't wake up the dog, none of the babies. I'm quiet.
If there is a stick or a log or a rock or a briar patch, Will's going to find the loudest way over.
Did you guys shoot an elk this year? Did you shoot an elk?
No.
Did you shoot an elk?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
Did you shoot an elk?
Small one.
A small one. Oh,
Real small.
yeah. We all thought it was a deer.
Oh god.
Let's get into that.
You want to get into
Might
that?
as well.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Just break it out right away.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So Will, so the backstory on this is my one goal for the year was to get Will an elk.
Yeah. Well, I live in South Carolina, so a little bit of a trek out here. You know, had to save up a little bit. It's a little bit of a hole. You know, if I live in town, you know, you just run out and go hunting. It's not a big deal. So
When's the last time you elk hunted?
2021 for a week, and it was.
Did you
Steam.
come up? Okay, you came up, and that
Yeah, I
wasn't
was
the
in-
year
I
that
was
we
in
went.
I was in California, drove up for a week, and then drove to South Carolina. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 21,
Yeah. So it's been a bit. Yeah.
and then moved to South Carolina.
Here we are.
Well, you moved to Reading. Both of you guys moved to Reading, and then
Just bounced
Yeah.
around.
just bounced around. South Carolina, did some whitetail hunting.
Dude, whitetail kicked my butt this year. But yeah, getting into it.
Yeah. So the one goal that I have is for Will to kill his first elk this year. He's hunted a lot. He's called in elk for me. He's called in elk for people he's hunted with. He's had chances.
Lost an elk,
Lost an
missed an
elk.
elk, missed 2 elk, lost an elk.
Yeah. And so Will was due. And lo and behold, he killed his first elk.
Well, first, I wanted to come early season because when we hunt coastal elk or coastal, usually we get into them earlier in the year because they're more patternable. Like they're not, once they hit that rut, it's just like they're all over the place. We can never find them. So if you can't locate them, which is so thick over here, hard to locate. So usually we do better earlier. That's why I came earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
And then we came over and you guys were telling me like, there's no elk around, nothing. It sucks. And I'm like, I'll get over here. We'll stir him up. Mason picked me up my first day out here, walked in the gate. I don't know, I made a cow call 50 yards into the gate and bull pipes off, another bull pipes off. I'm like, dude, this is easy.
I was so pissed.
And then we walked 50 more.
We were pissed. We were pissed.
And then we walked 50 more yards. And I'm like cow calling as we're walking through an open timber patch. And I just like stop. I'm like, I swear I just saw some movement. I look over, I'm like, Mason, there's a bull right there. It's like 50 yards from us, staring at us, little rag 3 or 4, whatever it was. I was like, a full draw, 5 minutes into my first hunt. I was like, dude, this is going to be a cake hunt. Like, we're going to be an elk this whole time. And that was definitely wrong, but.
That was the end of it.
Yeah, I was like, and also when you're planning to hunt and you're like watching elk hunting videos, you're getting pumped up, You just imagine a giant like 6x7 walking in front of you, You're just like,
especially when you're watching the Parttime hunters. You were getting jacked.
Especially then. I'm thinking about 3-legged deer or elk, wounded elk.
Yeah, 3-legged wounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the backstory on it kind of is I took a lot of time the opening week to scout and try and find elk.
Yeah.
And because my hunting season was kind of messed up a little bit, my wife took a vacation to Greece. And so I knew I wasn't going to be able to hunt that time. So I was going to hunt hard early.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was having major problems finding elk.
Yeah. Yep. All the usual spots. I mean, we've hunted this area for, 15, 20 years. You've 20 years, 15 years for me probably. And found pockets where we can kind of at least go find fresh sign where we know they're at least around. And this year is just like a wasteland.
It was really strange. But I did end up finding a herd, and I saw that there was a rag in it. There's a rag and a spike and like 9 cows or so. And so I think I got them on film, but I didn't even actually go after them.
Yeah. You and Harley went back after him too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see where they ended up. We didn't get like a fresh sign of where they were going, or we just couldn't really tell. And it's a kind of a tight area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge public access area, so they could have been anywhere on private, anywhere.
And so after my day 1 with Mason, where I was a full draw on a bull for like a minute and a half, 50 yards in the gate. Then the next day you guys were off work and we went in to that spot. And that's kind of where it all started.
Was it the very next day?
Yeah, it was the next day.
So your second day you shot the cow?
It might have been third.
No. Might have been third.
It might have been third, but it was
third.
one of those first few days because I remember thinking to myself, like, shoot, I should have waited. Like, dang, did I really just smoke the smallest elk?
Oh, yeah. In the video, you definitely say, dang.
Yeah. Dude, I had some weird emotions where I was like, well, anyway, just tell the story and then we'll just talk about that.
So basically, Mason and Riley hit one side of the road, and Harley, Will, and I hit another side of the road.
Yeah.
We were going after that herd that I'd seen. Yeah. It was a ghost town where we were, and they call us and they say, hey, we're on a small herd. They
saw a cow and like 2 cows and then heard a bugle, they said.
So we run across, get out of where we're at, run across the road and come up from the bottom side. Mm. We link up with them after we assume that we bust stuff out of there. Yeah. We're just chilling.
11:30, sitting on a gravel road.
It's actually like 10:30, but yeah.
Sitting in the middle of a gravel road.
Eating lunch, and
Riley's working on his cow calls or his bugle or something like that.
Yeah, we stand up. And
Riley's like asking for help, pointers.
He's like, Wes, what do you think of this? And we're like kind of chit-chatting, and I bugle, and he bugles, and bugle 3 or 4 times, and cow call some, and all of a sudden, Mason's like, stop, elk. And we're like, what?
We're in the middle of a clear, like, the gravel road run is next to a fresh clear cut. So, like, you could not be out more in the open than we are. Just standing, like, sticking out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. And I look down the road, and there's a small cow. And I give it the old sweet talk. Yeah. And it just kind of
she would have came into about anything, I think.
I could have farted.
Could have barked.
Yeah. But she comes on down the road.
She saw you and thought you were an elk. That's what she's like, oh my gosh. Look at that horse-faced man over there. It looks like a freaking elk.
And so anyway, this cow coming down the road. She stops at like 60. I give her another cow call. Sweet talking her in. Whatever, no big deal.
I'm pretty sure I was cow calling too.
And
whatever.
And she ends up coming to 30.
Dude, well, you guys were all in the road. So there's 4 dudes in the road, and I was standing like, I don't know, 6 or 7 yards away from you guys in the brush. And I was just like grabbing my bag and getting ready to go. And I grabbed my bow because no one else can grab their bow. And I was confused because Riley had been talking about a calf and a cow together and all that. And so then this elk's coming in. I'm standing behind a 4-foot wide tree, 3-foot wide tree. And I'm just thinking like, well, we're all staying in the open. There's no way this elk's going to come all the way in. Like, there's no way I'm going to shoot it. Literally is what I was thinking. Like, there's no shot this is even going to work out. So I was like knocking my arrow thinking like, it's about to bust out of here anyways. That was literally going through my head the whole time. Like, no way. And then Wesley was like, draw, Will, draw. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll draw and like, see what happens.
And the very first thing he says, shoot it, Will.
Yeah.
And it's like 80 yards away. And it stopped and looked at us. That's came down, stopped, looked. And Wes says, shoot it, Will.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, oh boy. He's shooting it.
Honestly, dude, from 80 yards when she was running, I was like, is that just a regular cow or is it a cow? I honestly didn't know. Yeah. I was like, it might just be a regular cow. And I was behind the tree, so I couldn't just see it. So I was like, I don't know, any legal elk at this point. I was like, whatever, I'm just smoking something. And then I had to lean around the tree, like 101, don't stand behind the tree because you're not going to be able to shoot something if you're behind the tree. I'm behind the tree.
Well, so she stops at 30 yards.
30 yards frontal, staring at us. And I'm like, 2-degree angle probably from her, from being like dead center on her. Anyways, I stuck around the tree. Oh, literally, I was thinking like, I'll go left side of the tree. I'll go right side of the tree. Like, I really wasn't, honestly, I was trying to shoot it, but I kind of wasn't. I was just kind of like, she's about to bust.
It was a lackadaisical.
It was a very strange, not what I thought I would feel for my first elk. Yeah. Very weird. Yep. And then I'm sticking out the right side of the tree, and she stands there forever. Like, just stands there. And I had her on my peep, and I'm just like, no way she's going to let me shoot her. I literally thought that. There's no way she's just going to let me shoot her. I'm like, should I shoot her? I guess I'm going to shoot her. I just held 30 right on that little patch there.
A very little patch.
Neck. Yeah,
very little
small patch. What a shot. Small animal.
She was not very wide. Let's just say that.
No.
You had a small little
target.
Just the elk in general.
Yeah,
it was
basically a really large deer.
One thing I don't get from the video is did you shoot over someone's head?
No.
So you were far enough, like
yeah.
Because Wes and Riley were like in front of the group almost.
Yeah.
And you cow call. I'm watching the video. I'm like, Wes is cow calling when the thing was staring at 30 yards.
I was too.
I wanted to see if it was going to come to like 10.
I did too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, let's see how freaking close she'll get. Let's give it another cow call.
And I wasn't like, I thought she wasn't going to come in. Like, I thought she was just going to bust. Like,
obviously, if this is like a bull or something,
right?
I would not have done what I did.
Okay.
And Riley and I would have laid down in the gravel or something. I mean,
dude,
at that point.
One of my favorite things about it is like you told Riley, like, don't move. And so Riley's facing away from the elk. Everyone else is watching the elk.
Riley and I are like 1.5 feet away from each other, staring into each other's eyes. And I'm like peeking behind Riley.
You're like, Riley, don't move. And Riley's like, wants to look so bad. He's like, are you serious? I can't move. This is dumb. He's just like, really? Like, I want to look. It's so funny, dude. Don't move, Riley. Don't move. And then,
So
smoked her.
So you smoke her frontal.
I thought I'd like buried my whole arrow because I didn't see it, but Harley saw it. He caught it, and Riley did too.
Actually, this brings me back to the born and raised stuff. We would think that the bull was standing right here. It had his front leg forward. Right. I shot it right behind this. This is where this is where I shot it, and then we'd always go back, and it was never. Exactly how we thought it.
Such a benefit to have footage. Oh my gosh, dude. I just remember seeing you just following your arrow as you're shooting and it just disappeared. Like I just couldn't see. I was like, oh, so it must have just really sunk in there because I couldn't see it.
Yeah. And so from Harley's angle, he must have had a different angle.
No, I was looking through the camera.
Right. He pretty
much zoomed in to where what we can see on the video.
Which is a pretty awesome still shot.
And so, it is pretty awesome still shot. It is pretty cool. But yeah, I could see something wasn't quite right, or it didn't. I saw the arrow, so I knew it wasn't plunged or whatever you want to call it, all the way in vital.
Right.
But the reality was, what the arrow did was it actually went all the way.
I didn't hit a
through,
vital.
and you hit the backside shoulder.
Front shoulder, yeah.
Front shoulder. Yeah. So you hit.
But I didn't hit any vitals. All I did was take out 3 inches of her trachea, basically.
And the femoral or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, well, obviously you can see on the footage there's so much blood that it was almost as good as any vital shot.
Go into that a little bit on your arrow setup and your bow and whatnot, and talk about
who set you up with the arrows too.
Dude, well, okay, so
sorry, Wes.
Dude, so I didn't have a bow, so I bought my bow a year ago, and so I bought the Phase 4, and then like Wesley's just always my archery guru. Like I can kind of do my research if I need to and figure it out, but it's just so much easier to ask Wesley, what do you want me to shoot? Like what's the best, you know? What are we shooting? And I just trust his judgment. And I told him like I wanted an insert outsert system to like have a collar over it, because I just noticed like hitting bone is just so strong that first inch and a half or whatever it is of the arrow. But what am I shooting?
The front end arrow integrity
is something
stronger. That I'm pretty passionate about, as far as whenever you deflect or something, the first 4 inches of your arrow is what snaps.
Right. Are you talking about just ribs? Like if you hit ribs,
what can happen?
Even shoulder blade though. I mean,
ribs, or even if you punch through a shoulder blade
on a deer
or an elk, which I've punched through the shoulder blade of an elk before, and it just the front like 6 inches of your arrow
takes all that impact.
All the impact, and where your broadhead inserts into the arrow, there's a lot of stress right there. And so a lot of times when you if you're shooting a target and you miss, it shears off right where your insert ends in your arrow. So the Black Eagle system is a pretty decent one. There's a bunch out there. There's Iron Will. Day 6, Ethics. There's a ton of good ones out there.
So we're doing the Focus system.
Yeah.
And then the arrows are Black Eagle Rampage. But so I asked Wes like, what arrows are you shooting? I'll just shoot those. And then but I got 250 spine and he has 300 or 350. What do you have?
300.
You're a short little guy. Didn't know what spine you had.
300.
So I shot 250, not thinking like, oh, it's gonna be like 2 grains more per inch or 3, whatever it is. And so anyways, and then I put 125s on there. I just didn't think about it adding up to be that much. Like I didn't do the math before I ordered them. So I got 125 heads, and then
did you do the steel inserts too, or were they the aluminums?
I think the aluminums. I don't think they were steel.
Okay.
But also the year before, so I shot whitetail the year before in Kentucky, and I was just like smoking through these whitetails. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Just blasting through them. And, but I mean, I'm shooting at like 20, 30 yards, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't do a lot of shooting last year, honestly. So then this year I was like, all right, I gotta get dialed. And so then I'm going out and shooting. I just ordered the same arrows, you know, because everything was all set up last year. I was like, I'll just stick with the same. And then I started shooting out like 60, 70 yards, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got like 18 inches of drop from 50 to 60. I'm like, that sucks. And yeah, anyways, shooting like right at 599, 600 grains basically, which is just a lot. So
is that who's the guy that Ranch Fairy?
Yeah, he would
Ranch
love
Fairy
it.
level?
He would love it. I'm shooting Expandables though. He wouldn't love that. So I'm shooting the Mega Meats, which so far, dude. I've been obviously like whitetail and elk are big difference. Unless you shoot a calf, they're basically the same thing. But I was excited to try them out on elk because they've just been destroying whitetail. So it's just
when it hits, it does smack. Yeah, like and the second shot, like it just smacks it. Yeah, it sounds really loud.
Yeah. I mean, I think in hunting over here too, in the Western Oregon, if you don't have a blood trail, like it's kind of over a lot of times. I mean, they can just go and just bury into some thick brush and you're just never going to find them. And so I think even the elk, you know, I lost one elk. I missed 2 bulls growing up. And the elk I lost, like I feel like I made a pretty good shot. It was a hair back, but I think I still hit lung. And there's just no blood trail at all. So
that was a small 2-blade or 3-blade?
2-blade. Single bevel Ozcut was it? I think.
Yeah.
And
so it doesn't necessarily. I mean,
that's not the story forever. Like, I mean, people shoot those and love them, which is great. Yeah. I just realized, okay, if I make a great shot, I want to be able to recover my animal. Like people are like, I want a broadhead that, you know, can help me shoot through the shoulder blade. I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome. I just want a broadhead that like, I'm going to get a great blood trail if I make a good shot. because I'm like, you know what I mean? So, and a lot of times those, those single entry without the 3-blade, the wound, closes up a little bit or whatever.
The
so
wound channel and the
yeah.
height. Yeah.
And I don't like big boxy 3-blades because I don't feel like they fly super well for me. Or maybe I'm not knowledgeable enough to tune them and all that. So the Expandables just seem like an easy, I just throw it on there and it shoots just like my field points. So that's why I went with those. But anyways, yeah. So if I come back, I'll probably shoot lighter arrows so I can shoot at a little more distance and not have to worry about
Gotcha.
all the drop.
Yeah. I mean, hunting the coast or hunting in Oregon, Western Oregon, Washington, stuff like that, the blood trails, there's some stuff in like North Idaho that's like super thick.
Yeah.
But the blood trails is something that is our biggest need over here. There's been instances where, if I would have shot an expandable, I would have recovered an elk.
Totally.
And it's basically just like, when you have a marginal hit where it's like maybe even back a little bit, you're going to have a better chance of that bull or elk bedding down in the first 100, 150 yards.
Right. Well, it just tears up such a big hole too, and it rips stuff up when you're going through the 1.5, 2-inch hole.
Yeah.
That's just a lot. 3 blades, that's a big, big channel.
And, there's a lot of people that, they just talk about the penetration. They want penetration. They want penetration.
Yeah.
And I've never had a problem with the penetration on any of my expandables. Bull I shot in Eastern Oregon, I shot with a 4-blade expandable.
Goodness.
And it entered rib cage right behind the shoulder, and it was poking, like the tip of it was just poking out in the offside shoulder, and it went through the shoulder on that side. And that's 4 blades, which is absolutely momentum sucking.
Yeah. So much
system.
So much cutting surface. Yeah.
But, blood trail was, it died in 50 yards, but it was ridiculous.
Right.
So,
yeah, my philosophy now is just like, I'm just going to do it until it doesn't work. I think like just the broadhead conversation, dude, everyone's just got such strong opinions. Even the most knowledgeable people, like, they don't agree, No. So I'm just like, dude, whatever. I'm going to do what works for me. And when it stops working, maybe I'll make a change. But,
Another thing is, like, there's people out there that are shooting, there's legitimate people out there that are shooting, 50 animals a year.
Yeah, dude.
And their knowledge surpasses ours
100%.
as far as real world experience,
which matters way more to me than all your theory.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Will felt pretty comfortable shooting that cow frontal. Number one, because you've been shooting a bunch, and because of your arrow system.
Yeah.
But you did end up shooting a little high. Was that where you were aiming?
Yeah. Well, I didn't ranger, so I was guessing 30. It was like 29. So I was on there, and I don't know what I did. Held a hair high, a small target again. That big bull frontal. I don't know. Was it a pie plate? Maybe a hair smaller than a pie plate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what she is. What she probably like a 3 or 4 inch hole there.
Yeah.
So left to right, I was great. I'm glad she didn't duck or anything because you see horror stories like Trent shoot an elk in the face or whatever, just freak thing. So I was just a hair high, I guess, even she was like, what was it, 80 yards from where I shot her probably, or less. And it was crazy just looking at that blood trail. I was like, I've never seen blood like that ever on an animal getting shot.
In the video, you can hear me saying, I've never seen anything like this before. Yeah. And what it reminds me of is on the Sandlot when they hit the ball and Benny busts the guts out of the ball and they're all standing over the ball and Benny's pissed because you can't play baseball anymore, and everyone else is like, Benny, this is like 1 in a million thing. This has never happened in the history of baseball before. That's exactly what I thought about. I was just like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
That's a good thought. I like that.
Good comparison.
I need to go watch that now.
Yeah.
Since the Sandlot.
Yeah. My kids love the Sandlot. But yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was weird. And I remember when I was full draw on that bull when I first got here to Oregon, and I was telling Dad about it, and he was like, I had like the neck shot on that bull, but I was just like, it was 40 yards too far. And he's like, dude, shoot that thing. It you serious? I'm like, bro, would not have been a good shot. He's like, dude, if you shoot the thing in the neck, it's going to bleed like a stuck pig. I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm not. But then after I shot that cow, I was like, well, shoot, dude. Maybe I start going for neck shots. I'm kidding. But I will say,
you actually did shoot it in the neck.
Well, yeah, I was aiming for a frontal shot, though. I'm saying, like, I'm not going to take a broadside neck shot or something stupid like that. You know what I mean?
Do you think the angle was? I don't think the angle was.
I was 2 degrees to her right.
I think it was too far. I don't know if you could have made that frontal shot.
It would have been tough. No, looking back,
got vitals.
It would have been tough
just because of the angle.
I think you're right.
Because if you moved it a little bit to our right, now you're peeking into that front.
Yeah, but that
left shoulder, collarbone, wherever you want
right,
to call it.
Because the window's a lot smaller. Yeah.
What do you think?
So, depending on the set, this is where your setup comes into play a little bit.
Yeah, if you nick sternum like or collarbone right there, that's gonna cause some trouble. I don't know.
You're not gonna make it back.
You have to punch through it and go into that pocket of vitals, which would be
so. Actually, where you would aim on the quartering 2 shot like that is actually lower and right in front of the front shoulder.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you'll actually, a person that I know that's killed many elk on that is Cody Kellum, and he shoots it right there, quartering 2, and the arrow pretty much just buries right there.
Yeah, I didn't have that much forethought,
but it's, I mean, that's an experience.
Yeah,
shot.
100%.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of.
Yeah, even 30 yards is farther than I'd like to take a frontal. Everything just happens so fast, and just like launched it. I don't know.
In hindsight, it worked out.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of blood, I just was in disbelief. I was like, it looked like a garden hose was coming out of her throat. I was crazy. I do wish I just would have flung an extra shot. It was so hard to tell. I'm like, is she dead? Is she not dead? And then we got closer and she was still kicking a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually a topic. So
we also thought, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So what happened is it was kind of, I don't really know how to describe it biologically, but basically what had happened was that artery was pumping out the blood, but her heart and lungs were still going. My rule of thumb is if you see the lungs moving or her rib cage expanding and contracting, you're gonna put another arrow in.
Right.
She was dead. She was 100%
at least unconscious. At least
unconscious, whatever we want to call it. And she was dead laying there, but she was still breathing. And so in the video, you actually hear me say, "Put another arrow in her." And Harley says, "No, there's no need to." Which there wasn't a need to kill her, to shoot her and kill her again. There was not necessarily a need when you say that.
No, it's just a mercy thing. And also, it's like, we thought based on blood trail, none of us thought, we just opened her trachea up. We thought, we're just like in vitals, so there's so much blood because we thought we got in there, in that cavity. But looking now, we know, after gutting her and all that, that it was just, it basically hit her throat, so she's suffocating and bleeding out, not getting.
It's not like we waited very long.
No, I mean, it was 30 seconds or whatever, but still, it wasn't that big deal. It just goes to tell you, like, you don't know what happened. You don't know where your shot went always. You don't know, like, there's so many moving pieces. And so, yeah, it's a good rule of thumb, just like launch another arrow if you can.
In a normal scenario, like where if it were to run in the trees or whatever,
right,
we would not have gone in. That quick.
No, it's true.
Correct.
It's true, and that stuff happens. There's elk that died like that, and people just don't know because they're not watching the elk die. The elk
that's what takes off. That was the crazy part.
That's brutal.
Just seeing it, and I mean, we all were excited and kind of laughing and stuff, but like it was like, there was also that second shot was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like that's the reality of it, and you're killing an animal.
Totally.
You just don't see it very often necessarily right in front of you.
Right. No, it's real.
Mm-hmm. And as hunters, we're trying to make sure it's as ethical and lethal and as quick as possible. And we're hooting and hollering and laughing and all those things. But it was fun. It was fun. It was funny. A blast. Mm-hmm. It was a fun experience. We enjoyed it. It's just follow a blood trail and see that she's breathing a little bit, and we say, "Oh, okay, put another arrow in her."
Finish it off, yeah.
And we did.
No, I don't regret anything. I think we did a good job. And
if it was a rifle though, and it was like that, what would you have done? You saw the blood, that much blood coming out. Because I think maybe that's why I was saying.
The rifle hunters that do that normally slit their throats.
Bleed them flat on their
Bleed
throat.
them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm thinking, I think that's where I was like, well, don't shoot. Like, I don't want to mess any meat up type thing as well. But then I was like, oh, wait, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
right.
I get it. It's not going to make a difference.
Right.
It's a little bit different shooting him a second time with an arrow than it is a rifle.
When I shot my cow, I shot it 3 times. But on the third shot, I knew that it was dead. But you were like, can you shoot her again? Can you shoot her again? I'm like, no, she's dead.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't want to mess that meat up.
Right.
Because I already messed it up a bunch anyways.
Yeah.
With that shoulder shot. So.
Which, in that hunt, your first shot was actually decent, correct?
I think I got back in the stomach area. I don't know how far it traveled inside because we didn't gut it, but it was quartering away and it got back on, and I think it got into the stomach. So it was too far back. I think we would have found the elk. I don't think she would have gone very far in general. I mean, she was, and then the second shot, she definitely wasn't going very far because I hit her in the leg. And then, and then you were trying to track the trail of blood, and I'm like, we're running after this thing. Like, we're just going straight to where I think it is.
Sprinting after that. Watch for cattle and just sprint.
Let's just go. And I've heard that with rifle. Like, if they're not going to go necessarily that far. Like the herd on that shot, they were only 200 yards away looking at us.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you make a shot on a rifle hunt like that, you're most likely you hit it if you're that close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But like, they stopped 200 yards and we could have had another shot. Like if you had a tag, we could have had another shot on their elk.
Yeah.
I would. Well,
we would have shot. We
Yes.
would have had other opportunities, but
yes, for sure.
Jay would always say that he said, I would just chase the elk.
Yeah.
Like he just in general, like archery hunting, he's like, I just chase him. I'm like, which he's a different breed a little bit.
Jay is a freak of nature.
Yeah, but he's like, they don't know what to do. They just eventually just kind of stop and like what's going on? Like I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not, but he would always tell us. I'm like, he shoots bulls.
Yeah. Know? If there's any person in the world of our complexion that could actually chase down a herd of elk, it would probably be Jay Yost.
Yeah. Bro, I guess it's something else, man.
But speaking of that tag, are you going to get that tag again?
There's no guarantees. I don't know.
Okay.
Probably. I could potentially if I get offered it, then I'll take it. It's just a matter of I don't like to ask.
Yeah.
It's just
wait your turn. Hopefully he thinks of you.
Turn. Yep. So I know they got a bull down there this year. One of the guys did. Not a huge bull. He got a big, nice bull last year. But it's a fun property. There's a ton of elk. It's nice to get an elk because that's what the wife wants in the freezer. She doesn't want.
Does she like the meat?
She likes the meat. Well, it's mainly the kids eat it.
Okay. Okay.
She wants if the kids are eating it and they're happy about it.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, we like this.
Yeah, get it.
Mm.
Go
but
hunting.
She
Harley.
can also eat a hamburger, like an elk burger, or she'll eat a steak, sorta.
Yeah.
But if it turns into like, she doesn't care for ducks. She doesn't care for deer. So it makes it harder to hunt if you're not like providing. I'm not really providing if you're not eating it, you know?
That's true.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just bringing home some meat for you, babe.
Yeah. I'm not eating this. I'm going to Costco. And I literally got home from elk season and Kara walked in the door with the next day, she walks in the door, went to Costco and got 2 20-pound hamburger things. She's like, look what I got. I got the meat.
Oh, God.
She's like, I'm providing. I'm like,
spent less than you did.
Thanks.
You had to buy that new. You had to buy that new bow.
Yep.
Yeah.
For nothing.
If I buy a new bow, for sure I'll kill an elk. Dude, no, I know a lot of people like that who, like, actually my buddy just shot a deer in South Carolina while I was fighting another deer, which was cool. But And he like dropped it off, got a process. He's like, "Hey, you want some of this?" Like, my family doesn't eat it. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man." Like, none of his 2 kids and his wife don't like it.
Tough to hunt if
Tough,
if you're not eating it.
Tough. He eats it, like he loves it. So but it's just him, it's brutal.
There ought to be a way where you could package that sucker up where it's not, where it doesn't appear anything different, and just don't tell your family what it is.
Just get beef wraps, beef.
Yeah, beef, and then
farm raised.
Yeah, not for sale.
Free range, whatever.
Oh yeah,
grass fed.
Cousin Jared just gave me this beef, and you cook it up and see if they say anything.
Yeah,
and then you're like, you like it.
You do like it.
You do like it. Yeah.
I do it.
I think there's a little bit of that into it. But to your wife's point, the stakes are different.
Yeah.
Way different.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Beef steak's better.
I don't care who you are. I'm sorry. You can cook all the fancy meat eater stupid recipes you want. But
yeah.
A good cook does make a difference, but give me a ribeye,
Give me a ribeye, give me a T-bone. My gosh.
Yeah.
We ate the hell out of those steaks, me and the boys. Like that was
They're not bad. I'm not saying they're
bad.
bad. I'm just saying like
different.
Like my wife, like the steaks are like,
yeah,
okay, we're eating it. All right.
Yeah.
I'll eat it. But it's not like as enjoyable as beef or
I haven't had a good elk steak in a while, actually.
Yeah. It's few and far between.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to get into, if we can.
Dive in, baby. What we got?
You gave up hunting also.
Yeah.
I kind of want to switch into that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that's really how we ended up here this last year.
Yeah.
Like the full circle. It was like
a couple of years,
kind of
full circle.
And then we hunted a lot together. Probably 2014 to
side note.
2014 to 2017, maybe 2018.
I feel a little bit responsible for even part-time hunters because I think without me, I don't know if you guys would still be doing your little dance here. Because I think,
for sure we would.
No, I don't know.
Are you talking about the 10%ers?
No, I'm just talking about you guys. You like Wesley was going doing his thing. You had just started hunting, and like Wesley dipped out and was not dipped out. I mean, he was doing it up, But I was like, bro, I'll find Harley. Like Harley was not my friend to begin with. Is what I'm saying.
We were not
like Wesley
friends.
and Harley went to college. I don't know. You're 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? I was like 17.
Will's still in high school.
I was like 17. And I was like, yo, Harley, you want to go hunting? Or whatever. You would say that. Or one of us would hit each other up. And so just kind of like keep the connection. Also, you live 45 minutes away.
Yeah,
so
it's not that far. It was like 30.
So
whatever.
So the backstory of that is I got Harley into hunting.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into filming and stuff.
Yes.
So like half or more of my season was gone.
Yeah.
Chasing whoever, wherever, Nevada, Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho. And so like half of my elk hunting season with Harley or Will was gone.
So we just started running through the woods making all sorts of dumb mistakes.
And I actually hunted with you more than Wes
100%.
at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, we went over east together and threw up in clear
It was only like a 2 or 3 year. It
was like 3
maybe
years.
4. Like the fourth year was kind of
where you started tapering off into No, I just wanted to toot my horn a little bit to say that I kept the band together. That's all. That's all I wanted.
You did. We'll give you credit for that.
Should have got you in there with Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah,
kept them together.
Yeah, I should have. Could have worked. Could have been something special.
And Will actually, he did some baiting for me one year.
Built you a stand.
It fell down 3 months after.
All we needed was one season. That's all we needed. The Apple Bowl.
Actually, that's part of the reason why I slipped and fell like 5 feet to the ground, just straight on my back. And that's part of the reason I get a little nervous.
Tree stand.
You mean the
stuff.
wood 2x4s got slippery?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hadn't spent a lot of time in the woods.
Yeah.
In general.
You were still in your vans.
The vans.
Yeah. Harley's hunting in vans.
Falling 5 feet from just straight to your back without anything.
Yeah.
Does not feel good.
No.
Especially in the dark or early in the morning. Whatever.
So you've helped me with getting elk also.
Yeah.
It's kind of your elk, honestly.
Dude, teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Anyways,
sorry.
When was it when you were like, I'm kind of done. I'm not being fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because I felt that too. You go out and you just don't get anything, or you do this and that. And you come home and you're like, or grandma said, hey, did you guys get anything? Oh, okay. I'll make you some eggs.
Yeah.
And it, like, there's a piece of, like, that is fun to have that too. Like, okay, we can still go home or go do this. So that's kind of a memory that I like. Like, she was always there to kind of.
Enough butter will warm your heart.
She was there to pick us up if on a bad morning or a bad day. But it's still, we didn't have that. Now you're like, why am I going out here?
Yeah.
And I think that's where you got into your head, not in a bad way, but you got into your head and thought about, what am I doing?
And it's even deeper than that too.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think you're right, but I think I always think about this when I talk about this. I heard this preacher talking about how he loved to hunt and fish growing up, and he was a Christian his whole life, but when he was like 18 or 19, he said God got a hold of me, and the things that used to satisfy me didn't satisfy me anymore, and he just gave up hunting and fishing. And I remember hearing him say that, and I literally thought he must not love hunting and fishing as much as I do. Like, I actually thought that, like, because it was so ingrained in our culture, the way we grew up. Like, it was just, it was such a family dynamic. It's not an evil thing at all, but certain things can start to become idols in your life. And when God convicts you of something, you just have to respond. And I was 2020, I think, and I had just gotten the Matthews Traverse, which was so cool. It was like I had the Matthews slow cam for a while, which Wesley gave me for free, which was cool. And shot that bow forever, and then I realized how bad it was, and I was like, man, I've got to upgrade, bro. I could run faster than my arrows. This is brutal. And so I remember literally, like, someone gave me $200, someone else gave me $50, like random money just dropped in my pocket in like July of 2020, and went and bought the Matthews Traverse like a month before season, and that's still my favorite bow I've ever had. But anyways, so I went through most of that season. Lost an elk, missed an elk. Took my youth group hunting. That was fun. You guys should definitely give that a shot sometime. Take some wild, rabid 13-year-olds elk hunting. But anyways, so hunted that year, most of the year. And then during deer season, there was like a week left. And I remember I was up late one night. I just couldn't sleep. And God had really done something in my life at this point where like I said, I was saved as a boy, but something just happened in me where I just started to hunger for God. Like, I just wanted to know God above all else. Like, I believe it was a gift. Like, I think it really is the gift of hunger for God. It wasn't anything that I could work up or strive for. He just like put something in my chest that wouldn't go out. And so, anyways, I remember I was up late praying one night, and I was reading 1 Samuel 3, and that's where God calls Samuel, and Samuel says to the Lord, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." And when that word, "your servant is listening," it means I'm listening with the intent to obey. So it's like, whatever you say, I'm waiting for your word so I can obey you. And I had heard someone say that one time, and so I remember praying that, like, "Lord, speak, Lord, your servant is listening." And as soon as I said that, I just remember in my heart just knowing I need to give my bow away. And as soon as I was like, okay, I'm going to give my bow away. And I was working construction at the time, framing. And my boss, Eric, he's a Hispanic guy, and he was trying to get into hunting. And I just knew, I was like, I'm going to give my bow away tomorrow, first thing. And as soon as I resolved that in my heart, I just had this overwhelming feeling of joy hit me. Like, I was so excited, which was so strange because I was, so into hunting. And so anyways, next day I woke up and just without thinking, threw my bow in the truck just didn't give it a second thought because I didn't want to go back, Anyways, walked on the job site. I was like, "Yo, Eric, come here," and gave him my bow. And he was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, take it." And I remember feeling like, this is fulfillment right here. Like, I knew that I had solidified God in my life more than hunting. Mm. And so anyways, that was kind of where it all started. And
but how much thought did you put in before you got to that point? What'd you feel before then? when you were out hunting or whatever? Yeah. When you got home, so like what was the thought?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't say I felt super, sorry. I wouldn't say I felt super unsatisfied hunting necessarily. I just started to realize, honestly, the only way I know how to put it is I needed more of God. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just the only way I can describe it, is like, I just need more of God. And right now, this is in the way of that. And similar with basketball too, like basketball, most of my identity came from basketball. Like my success and failure in basketball, it really took a toll on my internal world. And now I can go do these things, hunting and basketball and all that, and my internal identity doesn't get shaken because I do it with the Lord. Like I don't do anything without him. And so I think, it's really easy to go do things without God and, say a prayer or whatever so you feel good. But when he does something like that, when he stirs you up where you just desire him, nothing else satisfies. Like just nothing else will do. And like Moses said, like, Lord, don't depart from me. Like I just want your presence. Like he was like, go into the promised land. He's like, well, I'm not going without you. And that's kind of how I felt. Like I just can't go anywhere without you anymore. And so that kind of set me on a journey.
So when you were hunting, there was a total disconnect of God.
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't have said that, man. Honestly, I wouldn't have said that then. Like I was loving God and loving life. And I think there's just times where he brings things in check and tests you. Like, hey, are you going to exalt this above me? I think it was just one of those times. And I was just like, no, I want more of you. And he always honors sacrifice. Like he never asks for sacrifice and doesn't bring you something better in return. There's like a meme of a Jesus with like this giant stuffed animal behind his back.
And a little girl.
And the little girl's like has this tiny little stuffed animal. And he's like, hey, can you give me that? And he's got the surprise for her behind his back. And that's really like a simplification of what it was for me. Is like, hey, if you give me this, I'll give you something better in return. And what he has to offer you is him. It's himself. And you get to know him deeper. There's nothing greater than knowing him deeper. Like it always feels hard at the beginning to sacrifice something that you love, but he's never asking for sacrifice because he doesn't have your best interest in mind. He has your best interest in mind. You know what I mean?
I think some of that goes into just your ability to say yes. Is, when you say yes to things, you're stepping into something different.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not articulated the best, but
dude, saying yes to God, like I think there's just such a golden ticket mentality in like just in the Christian world. Like I'm saved and like I have everything I need. Like I got it all. And then you read the Bible and like I remember reading Revelation 3 and it's like John writing to these churches and he says in the letter he says to those who overcome I will give you blah 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 blah. It says it's like all these different churches. If those who overcome this thing, it's like who overcome this thing in the world, like lukewarm. If you overcome lukewarm, I'll give you this. And I remember reading that and I was like, he's first of all talking to churches. So they're Christians. They're saved. Like they're going to heaven. And I remember it dawned on me like, wait, so if they don't overcome, they don't get that. And they're saved. And that jacked with my theology in my mind a little bit. I was like, wait, so I don't think it's like God loves them more or like they're more, it's not like that. It's like you don't love your kids more than the others, but there is something to say about like refusing the world and choosing God, and he will honor it.
Well, and think about it. It makes sense too. Like, what are the things that you are so excited about? It's usually something that you worked hard for. You had 100%. To give up. You had to give up 100%. Something to get that. Yeah. So it makes sense that God would not. It makes sense that that's how we're built.
Totally.
We give up something. We are inwardly going to feel, oh, whoa, I just gave that up to it and I got.
Yeah.
Not necessarily you're going to get, and we can get into money and all that stuff too.
No. It's like your tithe.
Yeah, it is like your tithe. Yeah. Like.
But dude, it's like even this hunting trip, this elk that I shot, like it was such a full circle moment because I gave my bow up and then I'm going to kind of dive into the weeds a little bit, but I gave my bow up in 2020, right? Moved to California, moved to South Carolina, and then in January of whatever it was, 2023. We were driving to Charleston for my wife's birthday, and I was like, I don't know, I was just like kind of driving, listening to music, praying a little bit, and I just literally felt like the Lord told me, like, I'm gonna bring you a bow. And I was like, if I ever thought a word was me, my own thoughts, like I was like, this is me, you know what I mean? Like, obviously I want a bow, right? And I was just thinking, like, no, Lord, like I gave that up, you know, like I'm done with that. And like, you know, I gave it up for you, and blah 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 blah. And then Bella, my wife, her friend sent her a voice memo. It was on her birthday. Sent her a voice memo, and she was like, "Hey, I was just praying for you this morning, and I really feel like you're such a home to people. Like you're such a safe place and a home for people. And I really feel like the Lord wants to bring you a home." And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy, you know? Like, wow." I didn't think much of it, and I was telling Bella about the bow thing right before that. And we're driving to Charleston, and on the right there's this exit, and it says Bowman and Homestead. It was like right after we got done talking about this, and I was like, "What the heck? That's crazy! Like, no way." And then kind of just like forgot about it. Like, that was wild. Like, no way. And then 6 months later in June of 23, randomly, like, Bella was like, you should go buy a bow. And I was like, really? So I went and shot some bows, bought a bow. And the next day we bought a house. How crazy, huh? Dude, we're not even looking for houses. So my boss, his wife is our realtor. Like, I mean, she's a realtor, and the only realtor we knew. And she was like, "Oh yeah, whenever you guys are ready to buy a house, let me know." And we're like, "Yeah, we don't have enough money right now. Like, we got a couple $3,000 or $4,000 saved up in our bank, you know." And she was like, "Well, if you ever want to go look at houses just to figure out what you like let me know." And we're like, "Okay." And Bella's like, "That kind of sounds fun, like something to do today." And so I bought a house on Saturday. Sunday we went and looked at 3 houses, and the 3rd house we bought. It's just the most wild like turn of events, dude. And so, and then even to come out here and hunt, dude, like, I was like, I told Bella, I was like, there's just no way I'm going to be able to save up like, you know, $1,800, $2,000 to come hunt in Oregon. Like, it just doesn't make sense for us. We have way more priorities. And I told her like, yeah, it's not going to work out. And then one day I was just driving. I felt like the Lord was like, hey, would you just like be open to it? Like, I was like, yeah, obviously God will be open to going hunting in Oregon for elk. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, clearly Will's just talking to himself. Literally 2 minutes later, this guy, he's kind of a spiritual father, calls me. He's a South African guy, and he's like, "Hey, Will, I'm selling my house," and I also had this number in my head, like it's gonna be $2,000 to go to Oregon. And so, anyways, he calls me, "Hey, Will, I'm selling my house, and I'm leaving. I'm moving back to South Africa." He's like, "Will you sell all my stuff in my house for me, and we can split it 50-50?" He's like, "There's about $4,000 of stuff in my house probably, so it'd be about $2,000."
The exact number, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, what in the heck, dude? This is crazy. So like, you know, 2 days of work made $2,000 basically, and I was just like, this is nuts, man. Like, what is going on, you know? So dude, it's just, I think that the Christian life and pursuing Jesus is like the most exciting adventure that is available to mankind.
And there's like going back to 2020 when you gave your bow up, or 2019, whatever it was, like that also led to like a whirlwind of family changes, like for good, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like you're all of a sudden you're going down to Reading, you're going to BSSM, Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, big change. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, Will's doing this, and now Wes, Warren.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you guys felt it too, or that moment.
I still have that hat.
Do you?
I'll never throw it away, dude.
I mean, like it all of a sudden, like one person in the family says, "I'm doing this."
Yeah.
And it's now I'm like, everyone else starts to think,
yeah,
what am I doing?
Well,
and
honestly,
is there something? Do I feel something too?
Totally.
So it's
I think Warren, our middle brother, he doesn't hunt at all. I think he cracked it open for us, because like when you grow up with someone your whole life, and we're all Christians, we all love God, like we're all and we've all been the same forever. And then you see someone just 180 their life, something clicks in you like, what the heck? Wait, is something else available to me? Like,
is there more depth?
Is there more to this? Like, is there more? Like, dude, I could just go off about it. But Warren, I give Warren credit all the time. Like, dude, you pioneered something for me. I wouldn't have been able to get out, not in like a bad way, but like get out of my
comfort zone
and status quo of life if he wouldn't have.
So did Warren go? What
In 2014, he moved to Reading, and he just kind of left and just pursued the Lord. But even before that, like he used to have chronic migraines, like growing up my whole life, and had all sorts of medication, pain pills.
He'd go to the ER and get a shot,
spinal taps
before a basketball game, so that he could play in the basketball game.
Dude, he was like high half of his senior year. But I watched him. He came to me one day. He had moved out after high school. Excuse me. And he moved like 30 minutes away from our hometown. And he said to me, called me one day, Will, I just flushed all my medication down the toilet. I was like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, I'm good. I'm healed. My headaches are gone. And he didn't have headaches after that. And I just watched him for like 5 years, like not be able to take me to school because he couldn't get out of bed in the morning.
But he didn't flush him because he was healed.
It was an act of faith.
He was an act of faith.
He was like, I know this, and it just is one of those moments. And I know people do stuff like that, and I'm not telling people to do that. I'm just saying when you feel God on something and you obey, he responds a lot of times, and it's about obedience. And that's what even Jesus says. Like he says to the Pharisees, like, I want obedience rather than sacrifice. Like
the obedience thing is huge for me.
Yeah.
So my story in all of that is. I just resigned from Born and Raised and moved back up here, was pursuing some family things. Well, actually, people ask me all the time why I left, and I say it's never because of the guys or anything.
Yeah.
But I just had a growing family, and I was just ready to pursue something different.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention you were gone for
40 days.
Yeah, when I actually the day I found out that we were pregnant with our second is when I started thinking, okay, I'm going to resign.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with
yeah.
that situation and everything to do with my situation. But I started planning to spend all of my Oregon points for elk. So I had like 14 at the time. This is 20, I don't know what year. The years are going by.
Yeah, it's 2020, 2019, 2020.
I had like 14 points, and I was like, okay, well, so I'm going to burn them. Well, I'll just say I'm going to burn them on Sled Spring because I know I can get it, and I can actually party with someone.
And we knew some guys who were starting to pop off over in Sled. It was starting to blow up a little bit.
Yeah, and it was
still like 6 points then, probably.
It was like 7 or 8 or something like that. It wasn't what it is now. So I ended up partying with someone, and the reason why I partied with him is because he knew a bunch of people over in Sled and had, local intel that I could bounce stuff off of. So
you drew Sled.
Yeah. So I draw Sled. I moved back up here to Oregon, and Will says he's going to move to Reading and go to Bethel. And I'm like, sweet, good for you.
Yeah.
And my wife has always wanted to go down there and do that too.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh man, that'd be so cool to go do that. And I'm like,
she
yeah.
dreamed about moving too, didn't she?
Yeah, I'll get there.
Oh,
so you're good. So she's like, yeah, we should go do that. And I was like, no. Nope.
You were in Roseburg. You moved back up from Roseburg.
I moved from Roseburg to Albany. Albany, and was there, moved up here in February, and then like in July.
Yeah.
We start having these conversations.
Yeah, and here I'm like, oh, great. Wes is back. I'm about to get my hunting partner back. Let's go.
Yeah.
Holly got broken up with 2 people.
Yeah.
2 people jumped in.
Yeah, Will leaves. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do?
So, Wes is back.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, I don't like California. I'm not a Californian. I'm not moving. Lord. I'm not moving to California.
Still don't tell people I live there.
I know. And so my wife has a couple dreams, and people like calling her, asking her if she's going to Reading or moving to Reading, like randomly. We haven't told anybody. I don't exactly broadcast that I want to move to California.
Yeah, all the baggage that comes with even Bethel and all that too. It's just like
And so I was just like, whatever. And so my spirit inside of me one day just starts getting a little bit uncomfortable.
Can I interject in this too? Because I remember the day the final nail hit the coffin was we were.
Well, I'm not there yet.
I'm not going to talk about it yet. Okay. So we were in the truck during lunch break, and Wesley's like, "Will, I don't want to move to Reading." I'm like, "Wesley, don't. I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to convince you, but it would be super dope if you were there. Like, that'd be awesome, of course." But I'm like, bro, I was like, if God wants you there, He'll tell you. And that's at lunch break, and you're just like, he's gonna have to like yell it to me. I don't know what he's something like.
I was basically what I was saying. Like the good Lord is gonna have to give me a sign so
clear,
effing clear, for me to move my wife and my 3-year-old and 6-month-old.
Yeah.
So, I called Jocelyn that day.
Yeah.
And I go, hey, let's take a family trip down to the bow rack. I need to do this for my bow and this and this. And I was like, I'm just gonna run home, grab you, and we'll hop in the truck, run to Eugene. She was like, okay. I get to the house and she goes, I'm praying that God gives us a sign that we're supposed to move to Redding. And I said, she's like, on the way down there's a sign that says Redding, California. And I said, okay, cool.
It's I-5. There's signs everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
So
kind of a
literally, we're on the McKenzie Bridge. We're on the McKenzie Bridge heading south, and I pass a semi, and the whole side of the semi says Redding, California on it.
Which is kind of like, it's not like Chicago, it's like 100,000 people.
I've never seen a truck that says Redding.
No.
And my wife goes, oh my gosh, there it is. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I slow down and I said, look, Jackson, Mississippi. And then I see like St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah. And then I was like, that is not a sign.
It's a sign if you're looking for a sign.
And my wife, bless her heart, she's like, okay, yeah, okay. It's not. She goes, we get home and she's like, I'm just praying that God gives you a sign in the way that you'll accept it. And I go,
oh my God.
And I go, all right, whatever.
So then that day at work.
So then the next day at work, I get to this job site and the plumber's there, electrician's there, HVAC's there, and I'm kind of lining everybody out.
By the way, this plumber we talk to all the time, his name's Nate. Like, we talk to him all the time and didn't know much about him.
Yeah, he used to work for a company. Now he's starting his own business, and so he's there. He's plumbing out the house. I'm like, okay. And so I was talking to Nate and make sure he was squared away. And he's like, oh, hey, I got to give you a hat before you leave for my new company. And I was like, cool. Okay, great. So I was finishing up a couple details, and right around like end of the day or something, I get in my truck and I'm headed out. And it's kind of like this long gravel road. And I'm driving and I look in my rearview mirror and I see Nate. He's sprinting down the road.
Chasing after you.
Chasing me.
It's
He's got like the high hands, freaking Carl Lewis running down the road.
Cruise. It's like you'll see him tomorrow, probably. You know what I mean? So it's hilarious that all this is
I know. And he's like waving his hat. And I like put it in reverse and I like back down the driveway and I pull over and he's like out of breath. And he's like, oh, I got this hat. I had to give you the hat. And I'm like, okay, great. And he goes, yeah, here you go. He goes, yeah, it's Bethel.
Nate
Bethel Plumbing. And I look at the hat and it says Bethel Plumbing right on the hat. And I look at it and I just say, fuck. And he goes, what? And I go,
Thank you.
Never mind. My bad. Never mind. And I'm looking at the hat, but the second he gave me the hat, I knew in my spirit that was God telling me, that's your sign. Wake the hell up.
And you told me
you should have been listening to your wife this whole time.
You told me. I knew in that moment that if I didn't go, I'd be disobeying.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And so when I felt that, I was like, okay,
yeah,
I'll go. And that was huge for me.
Yeah. Dude, and so he gave you like 3 or 4 hats, and you gave me one.
Yeah.
And because I kept one, not to wear the hat. I don't ever wear it, but it's just a sign to me like that God does speak to us. God will speak to us, and like also everything is on the table. Like my life with the Lord's like everything is on the table. Everything is on the altar.
And at that point, damn near my whole life was on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I said yes, but I was still bitter about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, F. I was like, I just wasted all these points because we're supposed to move like September 10th.
Yeah, and you just put like you sacrificed your whole hunting career. Or your whole not hunting career. Sorry, hunting season. All your points, 14 points.
Yeah. Which at that point in my life, the 14 points I had meant probably more than it should have.
You're like, at that pace, you're going to hit Winnahaw at like 35. So, you're like, you can.
Yeah, like,
whatever.
I think at the time I actually did the calculations and I was going to be 40 when I drew it.
Yeah.
So in 8 more years, I would have drawn Winnahaw.
Yeah.
So.
Gosh, you're old. Jeez,
I know.
bro.
So, I was bitter about it for a long time.
Yeah.
And then finally, it just dawned on me and clicked that I wasn't supposed to be bitter.
Yeah.
And that I should just give it up. And I said yes. And I remember praying and I said, okay, God, I will not hunt this season. But I remember thinking to myself, like, but I'm trusting that you will bring this tenfold back. Yeah, like, 100%. I want bulls, plural.
Yeah.
So it's like mid-September. We're about to leave in like a week or so.
I think you already moved, I thought.
No.
Okay.
No. We're supposed to move in like a week. Like, I have a trailer packed with 3/4 of my house.
Yeah.
Hunting gear in the bottom of a trailer. And I don't remember if I had a dream, but I remember a voice going into my brain and telling me, wake up, pack your hunting crap in your truck, and put an extra cooler in the truck and prepare for success. And I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I was like, what? And I was like, was that? Yes, it was. Okay. Yeah. So I wake my wife up at like 3 a.m. I'm like, Jocelyn, wake up. She's like, what? I'm like, you're not going to believe this. But God just told me to go hunting. She's like, you're right. Like, God tells me to go hunting. Sure. And I was like, I don't know. I know I got to go. So I hop in the shower and I throw like 3 extra coolers in my truck.
God's wild.
And I go over there and I pull into Wallowa at like 10 in the morning. Like 10 in the morning. I call this guy who's over there and I was like, yeah, I ran over here real quick and was seeing if you knew where any herds are or something. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll hop in the truck. I've never met this guy before. He's like, yeah, I'll hop in the truck with you and we'll go see if we can spot something or call something in. I was like, okay, cool. So I drive up the road. I literally park in Wallowa. I drive up the road, look, and he's like, pull over here. We pull over here. I get out of the truck and I hear bulls screaming. I'm like, what the heck? And I look over and there's a herd of like 100 head, 150 head, and like 60 bulls. I'm like, what in tarnation's going on? Oh, so we make a little loop. He ends up hopping back behind me. I think we make like 3 cow calls. And this 5-point with giant fronts comes in. It comes into like 9 yards. I draw and cow call and stop him and shoot him on the whirl at 40 yards, and he piled up. And I was like, oh, that was the easiest elk hunt I've ever had.
It was like 2 hour
It drove a truck to it and pulled it out.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that up. Pull the clip. No, I'm just kidding.
The funny part too is like, even at the youth or the church group with 70, like probably men over 60, 70 years old.
The one that he did, yeah.
Like, even when you tell that story, like everyone laughs because it's just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
God told you to go hunting.
Yeah.
Like, come 100%. On, that's your brain.
100%.
But and even I have trouble. Like,
100%.
Yeah, I get it.
100%. Well, because dude, the voice of God has been abused by people. Like, you know what I mean? I heard God say this, and dude, I mean,
yeah,
it's just a learning curve too, though. Like, I think you have to learn to hear His voice. Like, you don't just know it. And I've gotten it wrong sometimes, but I don't risk other people's lives on me hearing God's voice. I risk my own things.
Is that where you kind of draw the?
Yeah, I mean. there's sometimes risk and stuff, but I mean, I don't risk other people's lives if I'm hearing God's voice. I can risk my own, but I'm not gonna.
What do you got on that clip?
It's on your YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on there.
That dragging out that bull.
Just a little clip of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just recorded that with my phone at the time. But
we weren't doing any real,
dude.
But that's just such an amazing story. I love that story.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was full circle. Just I just needed to say yes, and then I needed to have a good attitude about it.
Yeah,
and that's really the starting point. Is the yes.
Yeah,
I'm open to it.
Bro. Oh, and it never really gets easier. It just gets harder.
You know, I think my favorite verse the last month or so is "Send Me."
Yeah. Isaiah,
what is it?
Isaiah, send me.
Yeah.
I said send. I said send.
That's the verse.
Well, he's basically.
Here I am, Lord.
Here I am, Lord.
Isaiah.
Send me. Mm-hmm. And
send me wherever. You need me.
He's saying
wherever you need me. Basically,
God's saying like, who's gonna go into the nations and like on my behalf? And Isaiah says, "Here I am, Lord. Send me."
Yeah, but
which
I
is
don't know.
Super powerful, actually.
Yeah, and so I just felt. You know, and it's
scary prayer.
It's a super scary prayer.
Scary prayer because God will take you up on that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's, you never know. You never noticed that before, but that's the one thing I would say is just like, whoa, I didn't realize. You know, you say like, God, yeah, I want, everything you want, the will of God for my life, And then he's like, okay, cool. I'm so excited for this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, and the phrase bit that, men make plans and God laughs. That's super poignant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially when you plan without him involved,
So when you shot that elk, you already knew you made the right decision, or you were obeying God and moving? When you shot that elk, what did you feel?
I felt like it was so stupid how it happened that there's no way I could have actually planned or made that happen. How it happened, the whole thing, how it came in, how it died, literally everything from start to finish. I was just like that. I'd be an idiot.
Yeah.
And I would be taking some of the glory away from God to say that wasn't God.
But that's also a lot of times life when we walk with God, when we partner with God. Like actually, when everything's on the altar, like He brings the increase. He brings the sacrifice to us. Like even Isaac and Abraham, bro. He's gonna literally sacrifice his son on the altar, which is his whole life. His whole dream was to have a son, right? And then, which also apparently I've heard that Isaac was like 15, 18 years old. He's not a child. So he had to willingly get on the altar, which I think is crazy. But then, right at the last moment, it's like, here's a ram. It provides an actual sacrifice for him so that he could actually keep his dream. But he had to show God that he was willing to sacrifice it, which is what you did. Like you showed God, I'm willing to sacrifice my points, my hunting season. And then it's like, boom, actually, here's a ram. Go ahead. Here's this easy success that I provided for you.
Mm-hmm.
And which is every hunt like that for us? No, not even close.
No.
Like how many failed hunts have we had?
Since then,
lots, tons. But life with God. I mean, my hunt, dude, that cow just ran in on a freaking gravel road at 10:30. Like I just think that's so freaking awesome, dude. I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
You can, I do have a hard time with some of that, like okay, I did something now. My life is. I get that you're gonna your life is gonna be better. In a Christian sense.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel better, feel closer to God.
Mm-hmm.
But it easily flips when you say, like, I did this and then I got
didn't happen,
and then I got money formula. Or this. I got success.
There's no formula though.
There's no.
Like there's no formula. I can't manipulate God. I can't say like, well, if I do this, he's gonna,
right.
He's gonna come through because he's not a genie. He's not. But
you very easily could have not gotten an elk.
100%.
Yeah.
And would that have changed anything?
No.
No, it wouldn't change him at all. No. But it does show his kindness as a father. Like he is bent on being a kind father. Like this is something that's been wrecking me lately. Is like he decided in eternity past, like when God was ever created himself, I don't know however that looks like, he decided how he was going to be as God, what kind of God he was going to be. And then Jesus came and showed us that, and it was a kind father. Like, take my yoke upon you. It's like, my burden is light, my yoke is easy. Like, what he could have been like a very demanding, he's like, God is love. Like, why did he decide to do that? But he decided to be like this relational God who like we go back and forth with. Not like he could have been like you do this, you get this.
And in the Old Testament he was.
Yeah, I mean, yes, kind of, but he hasn't changed. So I actually think we'd have a different interpretation of that. Like, I think he hasn't changed.
What do you mean? So in the Old Testament, what do you mean? In the
Old Testament, there's a lot of war, killing, and it looks like a lot of punishment.
And in order to be forgiven, you had to do X, Y, and Z. So you had to sacrifice something.
Yes, the law.
Which was just a result of our own decisions. And God was still always trying to just keep connection with his kids. Like, the whole goal of everything, of the law even, was just to keep us in close proximity. But I know what you mean. It's just, I'm not claiming to be some theologian about that, but I definitely understand what you're saying. But I don't know. I just got on a rabbit hole. Sorry, I don't know how I took that, but yeah, I think it's hard because there's a lot of great things in God that have been taken and counterfeited.
Yeah,
counterfeited. I don't know if that's a word, but I heard someone say, no one counterfeits $1 bills. You know what I mean? Because it's not valuable. People counterfeit $100 bills because they're the most valuable things. And so I think we need to look at the things that have been used incorrectly, like hearing the voice of God, and actually find the way to do it correctly with the Bible, And because I think we're so guilty of this, is like someone does something incorrectly, even in the hunting world, someone can have like a hot take about something, and we overcorrect so hard to the other extreme because we're scared of this false thing.
I can see that.
And so the church does that constantly. Like, we're like, oh my gosh, you see that? They said, thus saith the Lord, and told that person this, and it hurt some people, and it's absolutely terrible. But then we overcorrect so far, like, God doesn't speak anymore. Just read the Bible and don't ever, like, God speaks to the Bible. I love the Bible. But you know what I mean? Like, it just gets to this other extreme. It's like, well, that's actually not biblically accurate either. Like, but we are scared of something being counterfeit. That's my take, at least. But I just think there's so much enjoyment to have with God, and we have a lot of fear, so we push it away,
Yep.
Yeah, and that led to then spending time in Reading. Were you at BSSM while Jocelyn was going to?
She was doing the online thing.
It was
the in-person thing.
That was weird. That was weird because that was during the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
And so, like, we got there, and we went there, and I did not have a job lined up. So much,
right?
Which was scary.
Went there.
Actually, I reached out to Stephen Casey.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? How do I get a construction job
also,
in Reading?
You got there, and the house you were gonna live in.
So
I remember that.
So I was like, how do I get a job? So I literally opened up my phone and went on my Instagram and looked for hunters in California. And I just started DMing all of them. Mm-hmm. I was like, hey, I know you're in the Northern California area. This is what I do. Do you know anybody that's hiring?
Yep.
And Stephen Casey actually got back to me, and he's like, oh, yeah, my buddy Josh LaFrance. Yeah. He's doing this, this, and this. And I was like, send me his number.
And Stephen now is actually a good friend of mine who I just hunted with 2 weeks ago. He lives in South Carolina now. He moved from Reading. He was in Reading. He's been in Reading for years, and then moved to South Carolina, and now we hunt together.
Yeah.
Such a small world.
It's
crazy,
so funny.
Dude.
So he's like, yeah, call this guy. And I call him, and he's like, yeah, I'm looking for this, this, and this. Do you know how to do this, this, and this? I was like, yeah, that's cake.
Yeah.
So he ends up hiring me, and it was phenomenal. Yeah. It was actually exactly what I needed in my work career and spiritually.
Yeah.
Working for that guy.
Yeah.
It was incredible. But
and it's just a good break to get out of the monotony of what we grew up in construction here.
Yeah, it was like a hybrid of commercial residential stuff, and I was doing more
shorts.
I was wearing like board shorts. My bags were on like half a day.
Yeah.
I was if you wanted to put like actual title to it to be like a working superintendent is kind of how I would describe that. But so we moved down there, and you're trying to find a place to freaking rent over the internet. It's not exactly the easiest thing, and this place has got no housing.
Middle of COVID as well.
Middle of COVID.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so I've got my wife, my kids, a trailer full of crap.
And you just found out
it
you
would
weren't
look like
pregnant, right?
no, had not yet found out that.
Okay.
It looked like just the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, man.
And pull into this house, and it's
I met you there.
Will
Me and my two of my roommates.
I'm like half an hour behind my wife and Will, and they get there, and my wife's like, "This place is terrible."
We were trying to like, okay, yeah, there's this. That's nice. That's okay, yeah. And the backyard's like connected to like this drug house. Dude, there's like these pit bulls jumping out, trying to get over the fence, and I'm like, I'm literally thinking. So they're not living here. I'm not letting them.
I haven't got there yet. And Will, my wife called me, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not gonna live here." And I'm like, "Dude, I have to."
You got there. You and Jocelyn were in the backyard talking, and I remember going out to you guys and being like, "Hey guys,
I'm trying to have a discussion with my wife here."
And I'm like, I just literally remember being like, "Hey guys, you want to not live here and just like come stay at my house for a little bit?" Like, which my house,
I've got a dog, I got 2 kids. And a wife, and I'm like, and Will's, renting a house with a bunch. Will and his wife are renting a house with a bunch of other students, and I'm like, I'm like, God, why? At least we have a freezer full of elk. Okay, cool.
Wasn't as easy as the hunt.
No, this sucks,
dude. So we had in my house, we had Bella and I, my wife and I, and then 2 other couples, and then a single dude. And a cat, and a maybe 1,800 square foot house. And so, and by the way, I think like most of us had COVID at the time. Like we were pretty sick, so that was cool. So we're like, yeah, come on in, dude. Like we don't have any other options. Just come on in. I'm like, I'm not gonna let my brother and his kids stay on the street. Like Bella and I slept in the living room. They slept in our room. And then like it was like day 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the living room, and like you guys were just dead end, trying to find houses.
Dude, we're glued to our phones.
And
school's like already started. There's no like available housing.
And everyone was really chill. Like all my roommates were really great.
They were great. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Awesome people.
And I just remember we were like,
shout out.
We were like, what are we gonna do? And then I was like, I just remember this verse, John 16:24, and it basically says like, you don't until now you have not asked for what you want. Ask so that your joy may be made full. And I just remember that verse. Like, guys, this is what the Bible says. Let's just ask the Lord for what we need. Like, obviously aren't we doing that? I don't know. But for some reason, we just did it. And you guys were like, I was like, guys, what are the things you want in your house? Like, well, I want it to be close. I want it to be close to a park. I want under this price, blah, 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 blah. And then that evening, right? Was that evening you got an email or something?
Yeah. So basically, I don't know, 400 yards away from Will's house.
Next to our park.
Next to the park. A studio opened up.
That's right.
And I was like...
brand new.
First people. Literally brand new. Huh. And I was like, a studio? Man, I grew up on like 9 acres.
Yeah.
But it was perfect for what we needed.
Yeah.
Saved a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Rent was super cheap. Landlord was chill. Like, I just got a storage unit and had all my hunting stuff and the house.
In my garage, too.
Yeah. Safe and Will. I was like, no way am I putting my safe full of weapons in a storage container. So, had the safe and fishing poles at Will's house.
Nice.
Nice.
He always provides, dude.
Yeah.
It doesn't always look like what we wanted to.
It was definitely not.
He will provide, man.
What I wanted, but came through. Yeah, it was.
What a freaking journey, man.
It's amazing when you just open your mind to that type of thought, like just in general. How you feel when something good does happen.
Yeah. But and then when the crap hits the fan though, like when it all goes sideways, you have someone you can count on. Like your relationship, because it doesn't always turn out like the elk hunt, like saying yes to God.
Well, it doesn't. No. Yeah, and you didn't even have a place to live.
100%. But when you've done that multiple times, like, and you've seen God come through.
Yep.
all of a sudden the things that used to scare you, you're just like, yeah, it's not going to faze me as much. Like, I think that is the beautiful thing. Like, I think people are like, well, Christianity, like you preach just this blessed gospel.
Yes.
Like, everything's going to be great.
Yes.
No, it's not. Sometimes it will be, by the way, but sometimes it's not going to be. But in that time, you've experienced storms and Jesus calmed the storm for you. And so, or you felt the comfort of a storm in a storm. And so the storm doesn't scare you anymore.
Yeah. I think most people on the outside would say, well, how can you say God blessed you here and then screwed you over? That's what they would say. You got screwed over when you moved to Reading.
Is it him who screwed me over?
Well, that's I would say no, but that's the people just start flip a switch and 100%. Say, no, I'm not even thinking that way. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And the reality is you can't say yes to God once and then expect the rest of your life to be bananas and pajamas.
Well, and we forget that
But how do you explain those? What's the short answer to, or the short explanation of the shitstorm that hits?
You were born behind enemy lines. We were dropped in on this earth behind enemy lines. The Bible says that do not be, what does it say? It says that the devil roars like a lion, like seeking who he may destroy. So the devil hates us.
Right.
We're made in his image. We're made in God's image, and the devil hates God. So he hates us. And we were dropped in behind enemy lines. So if we forget, like, we're actually at war with a real living being, you're gonna start seeing all these things and blame God. You're gonna see crap in your life and blame God. Look at Job. You can read Job. God never left Job, but God was always with Job. And Job endured testing and then came out on the other side with double what he had received, more than double, I think. So I don't think God's angry. I think that's one of my big core beliefs is like, I actually don't believe God's angry. And I don't believe he wants to punish me. And I think we need to root that out of our Christian lives. I think that like a father, he loves me, even in my worst moments. Not just when I got saved. Like, that was a bad day. I was really a sinner and then I got saved. And now he expects way more of me. And he's a little disappointed in me, if I was honest. Now, that line of thinking will never bring you towards God. It'll always drive you away. But I think there's a reality that we are at war. Like, there's an enemy. We have an enemy, and if we forget that, we blame everything on God.
What is it? We're not at war with flesh and blood, but with
principalities, powers in the air, whatever.
Yep.
There's another verse. I can't remember. I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, do not be like, you have to be aware of the enemy's tactics. I forget how it goes, but like, we have to be aware that there's an enemy and that he actually really wants to destroy your life. And sometimes like those storms aren't from God, man. Like, they're from the enemy, and God can come in and quiet those storms.
Yeah. It's not actually a big storm. It's not a big deal, basically.
Dude,
you just need to trust that
100%.
You are going to be okay.
And a lot of times, like,
and remember who you're following. Like, don't worry.
100%.
Basically.
And a lot of times, like, that storm is because you're actually approaching greatness. You're approaching something that's worth your time.
But at the same time, when I say don't worry, like, or it doesn't mean just sit on your butt.
No.
Like, Wes got on the phone and was working to get this thing going, get it turned around, whatever you had to do. You were doing whatever you had to do.
Mm-hmm. There really is just like humans, like, we want this formula of like, do this and this happens. And it's just not the way God works. He decided to be a relational God. And it's a frustrating thing. But I was going to say, like, a lot of those storms we hit we're about to actually do something worthwhile with our time. And like, when Jesus stood up in the boat and quieted that storm, they were actually about to go into, I forget what city it is, where that man was possessed by Legion, all those demons.
Oh, yeah.
So he's actually about to go into this land, talking about principalities. I think there's a whole theory there. But anyways, he's about to actually go into a land that's occupied by a demonic, stronghold. And now there's a storm all of a sudden confronting them. So the storm gets silenced. He walks into a city and delivers a man who's been literally, tormented and chained up and beating himself. And all of a sudden, Jesus changes the whole city.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, like, there's a quote that says, "The dogs of doom are at your doors of destiny." I'm like, well, if that's true, then I look at the dogs of doom a little different. I'm like, oh, okay, destiny's on the other side of them.
Might be scared. I might get bit.
I'm gonna do it scared. I'm gonna do it afraid. What scares me more is not getting into my destiny. Not actually.
Yeah.
That scares me more.
Yeah, and the reason why talking about going back to the obedience thing.
Yeah.
Is I've always said that. So I wouldn't say that I'm as. It's gonna sound awkward, but I'm not as hyper spiritual as you or my brother is.
Hyper.
And I would.
Oh boy.
But what I would say is I would obviously never disobey God.
Yeah, if you know.
And if you know that it's God, and the moving to California, if we want to talk about just being in a culture, I don't want to move to a liberal state. I want to be here.
Dude.
I don't want to move. I don't want to move to California where half of my weapons are illegal.
100%.
I don't want to do this. This is scary as shit.
Totally.
And it was a big yes. That was a big yes.
Costs a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
same with South Carolina.
I'm so glad I moved.
Yeah.
Dude, and going into California, I met some of the most awesome, incredible hunters.
Dude.
And dudes.
By the way,
solid.
The most Trump flags I've ever seen, right in California.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I live in South Carolina, okay? There's rebel flags everywhere, but I've never seen as many Trump flags as I have in California. I'm like, what the heck? I never would have expected that.
And people who don't, you've been to Redding a bunch because you have a bunch of family in Redding.
Yes. There's not much there.
No.
There's not much there, but it is as red as it gets.
Yeah.
Red. Yeah.
Yeah.
State of Jackson. Jefferson. Sorry.
Jefferson.
State of Jefferson.
Yeah.
Should have been 51 states.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Gosh.
Got it.
Gosh.
You're probably right. I mean, they don't belong in California.
No, they do
as
not.
Just on a political, especially.
For sure. One thing that we did when we were in the California is we went on the antelope hunt.
Yeah, I had to pay for it. Both my brothers went broke.
That's true. Dude, I was like, I gotta go.
I might have to pee, dude. I'm gonna have to.
All right, let's take a break.
Take a break.
And then we'll wrap it up in a couple minutes.
Are we going?
We can go whenever.
Okay. I didn't know.
What was the last thing we said? Can you tell?
Well, I think we were wrapping up our basically that whole Redding.
Spiritual.
We could go on. We could. I mean, I don't know much about Bethel, but I don't know if we need to get into that today.
No, I wouldn't.
I think it's just wrapping up that whole conversation was open your mind to basically receiving a message from God. You'll see something different. You'll see life differently.
Yeah.
There's good that's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
There's still going to be storms, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But open your mind to that.
Yeah.
What was the verse? Send me. What was it?
Yeah, Isaiah, I don't know what the verse is, but here I am, Lord, send me.
Isaiah, yeah.
Here I am. Isaiah, I don't know, 20, 40, something like that. I don't know.
Here I am. I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
I've got all these things in my life that I like.
Yeah.
I like all these things, but
I'm willing.
I'm willing to give up.
And use me. Use me to make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
I think, too, to wrap it up, you pursue God and he'll pursue. I mean, he is pursuing you, but so if you start to pursue him, you will find him. I think that's the biggest thing is he says, seek and you'll find me. Knock and I'll open the door or whatever it is, or he's knocking and you'll open the door. So,
yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a fun life following the Lord, and then you end up in the East Coast hunting whitetail.
Isaiah 6:8.
Isaiah 6:8? Isaiah 6:8. Go read it.
I love this. Yeah. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and whom will go for us? Then I said, here I am, send me. Isaiah 6:8.
Dude, I love that. I freaking love that.
Yeah, me too.
You're going to have to direct me because I get a little preacher at heart, so I can just go off if I'm not careful.
We're not necessarily running out of time, but
yeah,
I do think we need to talk about the blacktail season and blacktail hunting just a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah.
Basically, I've shot one with a rifle, but that's not really what I want to talk about. I just the difficulty, and you're kind of working on a blacktail project, quote unquote, and it's been a project for your whole life, basically. You've chased these little things around. It's They're not that big. They taste okay.
Yeah, basically I've done basically I've done a lot of blacktail hunting and not a lot of blacktail killing.
But you've done some. But
yeah.
You look at some like even whitetail, like, whoa, those are big whitetail. And then in our area, it's like, whoa, that's a big blacktail. And you're like, it's not that big of a deer.
Yeah, comparatively.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. Yeah. Well, that's why blacktail don't get any love. Blacktail don't get any love from besides people that live in Northern California, part of Washington, and part of Oregon.
I mean, there's such a small population of deer we grew up in it, so it's normal to us. I didn't realize that. I think once I moved out here, I'm like, oh, blacktail's like a foreign species to most people. Like, oh, they don't even think of it as an option to hunt.
You say that you hunt blacktail to someone in the lower 48 besides on the West Coast, and like, oh, you go to Alaska?
Yeah.
Like, because that's what they see. Oh, you go hunt Kodiak? Oh, you hunt POW?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, okay.
It's just like I think it's such a small niche group of people. I think that's probably why the blacktail video is like online. Well, first of all, there's not a lot of blacktail YouTube videos because there's not a lot of people who like crush blacktail. But the blacktail community is like such a niche little group, and the dudes who love it like are diehard, like just love blacktail.
Yeah, and they absolutely hate whitetail hunting.
yeah, they do. Which I get. Actually, now that I've been over there, I get but also it's just really hard to hunt them any other way than the way they're hunted.
What's a good size blacktail in the Willamette Valley, where we are?
115-inch 3-point.
Yeah. And what's a good whitetail? I mean, I've seen videos of
it depends on
inches, 200 inches.
So just how blacktail have the subspecies you would of
bench leg,
the Northern California blacktails, and the Sitka blacktails, they're all different, right? So
like Sitka blacktail are small.
So a Sitka blacktail, a full mature deer, could be a big forked horn.
Yeah.
In Northern California, a full grown, I've seen, I'm not kidding, 170-inch blacktail.
In California,
Northern California. Yep. 170 inches.
Who knows if it's cross whatever though.
Yeah.
Got a black ass tail.
Yeah.
I got a picture of it.
Yeah.
But same as with whitetails. So there's whitetails in like Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama. Okay. Stereotypically, those whitetails are a lot smaller.
South Carolina deer are pretty small.
Yeah, body size and rack size. Yeah. But you go to like
Kentucky's
the
a little bigger.
Yeah, you go to like
even they get a little bigger. And then
you go to like
hit Midwest.
You go to like the Midwest, Iowa, Ohio, Illinois. There's even some big bucks up there in Michigan, Wisconsin, and all of that. But you go to like that Midwest area, you know, a good buck is 150, 160 inches probably.
I saw like the average deer scores. I saw the average deer scores for like the breakdown of like the Midwest to the West. I think I sent it to you, Wesley.
You did.
I don't know if I still have it, but here it is. Like South Carolina average deer store. Oh, North Carolina is 116. Kentucky jumps up to 144, but like Florida is 107. Alabama's 127. So like everything's 120 and under basically. And then you hit Kentucky. What was that? I don't know these states still because.
Let me show you.
What I mean?
Let me see it.
But Midwest hits 150s, 140s, 130s.
What do you have? What's your biggest blacktail?
My biggest blacktail? Yeah. I didn't actually put a tape on it. My biggest bow blacktail. That's over.
That one in North Albany?
Can we measure one right over there?
Real quick. Live measurement.
Yeah, let's do that.
Jamie, pull that up. Grab that, would you? That one in North Albany you shot with that drop time thing. Drop time thing was a cool deer.
There's a bunch of shed antlers and a couple skulls just in the garage over here.
Perfectly organized. Yeah, I think blacktail are. I mean, maybe I'm just biased, but I think they're just such cool deer.
That's a cool one.
So that's the biggest.
Can you pull out your phone and just
So this is the biggest archery blacktail that I have. If he was symmetrical on both sides, on his 4-point side, I think he'd be
such a raggy deer.
Right under.
And he's even got a little velvet still on the bottom.
Yeah, I shot him early season. He'd be right under like 120 if his 4-point side was.
Well, let's see.
matching.
Let's measure him.
Dude, I don't have a steel tape. If we're going to actually measure him, we're going to actually measure him. But, I mean.
You can't just a steel tape?
What's a ballpark? Give me a ballpark.
Here.
Well, he's
Can you use this thing?
He's going to score shitty because.
Why do you just pull that out of your pocket? Why do you have it? You measuring your waist on the way here? Checking your finger.
I'm not gonna go through measuring this right now. That's gonna take me like a half an hour. But I mean he scores terrible because he's a forked horn on one side.
That's a big deer though.
He probably scores like 100 inches or less.
100?
100, or less.
Okay,
probably
and you
less.
Just measure
because he's got this whole funky dagger.
That's an 8-point right there.
Yeah, something like that. But that's
dang, I was hoping you would be able to measure it.
How about I measure it after? Yeah.
After? Why not on camera?
Well, we can film it on camera, but we're not for the podcast. What do you got, Harley? Did you bring?
I just need you to measure this for me really quick. I just need you to measure this one.
Dude, that's a South Carolina 11-point.
Can you measure that for me?
I can measure this for you. I can measure this for you real quick. Hang on.
2 1/4.
2.5. If I go to the long side. We gotta get.
Just have that in your bag.
We gotta make sure that that's 3 inches right there.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
5.5 inches, dog.
Have you ever
spread? Hang on, spread.
Have you ever seen anything like it?
Here, I got
Yeah, I got a couple up there. Hang on, what's the spread on this bad boy?
Can you hold it?
Where's the widest point? Oh, right there. Got it.
Dude, why did you have that in your bag?
I don't know. I wanted to get
3
measured.
1/4.
So what does that add up to?
3 1/4 wide.
8 1/4. 8 3/4.
So it's an 8 3/4 blacktail.
Hell yeah.
I don't think anyone can beat that.
Not any smaller.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Bro, that's the most Harley thing I've ever seen in my life. Pulls out a tape out of his pocket. Measuring tape. Oh, wait, let me grab out of my bag.
He was scheming about this. He was scheming.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I've called it a 2-incher. And apparently it's way bigger. I didn't give him enough. I didn't give him enough credit. So
8 3/4, baby.
I don't know about all the measurement stuff, but 8 3/4 or 8 1/4.
8 3/4. Look at those eye guards, dude.
All right.
Oh,
we'll
man.
just leave this sucker right here.
Put it up there. Put it
Yeah,
out there
dude.
for the world to see.
Yeah, man.
Put it out there.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
That was my first buck, and the only buck I've ever shot.
I shot a good 3-point with Will. Will gave me that in on that one.
Bro, I just be feeding you guys. When does it come back? When do you guys feed me back? I guess I got an elk.
I mean,
guess
you didn't clarify if you wanted the elk.
I know. I was just hoping it was good investment. I was just hoping. Like I need Harley to build me a tree stand, and just set some apples out for an elk.
I do need to do that. Yeah. Repay you, pay it forward.
But the blacktail thing, I mean, it's super niche. So the backstory on that is my dad and family grew up on 1,800 acres. South of Brownsville.
Dirt poor, by the way, not 1,800 acres rich.
Yeah,
I think that's a good clarification.
We're not talking 1,800 acres with a lodge on it.
We're talking about tree farmers in a mobile home.
Right.
Yeah, and they grew up hunting blacktail. My uncle Joe is probably the best blacktail hunter that I've ever met.
Should we bring the black book on the pod sometime? We can get the black book out here.
We should
absolutely.
We should get that. The black book is.
I think he has it.
Yeah. Well, we got some of it. Like Teresa's got some photos of it. Basically,
no,
the black
but
book,
the actual black.
Yeah,
book.
I know. I'm saying
we're not showing that.
Pictures. But they have basically a record of all the deer, like weight, antlers, where they put where it was shot, I believe, as well, and then who shot it.
Yes.
Right?
So they took a record of every deer ever killed.
A couple hundred deer. Who knows?
Yeah.
Over the years.
Yeah.
And family would come hunt and all that.
It was like, it wasn't just like 6 people that killed 100 deer. We're talking like
probably
extended family, extended family, friends, families,
teammates,
basketball teammates, coaches came out there and all shot their first buck up on the ranch. And they all shot all these, but they recorded every single buck that was ever taken.
It's pretty cool to read. It's pretty cool to read because you can just be like Tim Smith, 185 pound.
They didn't actually score any of the deer.
No, but it never 185 pound 3-point.
Yes,
or whatever.
So they were subsistence hunters.
Yeah,
they were poor to the point of killing animals for food.
No, 100%. They were broke. They were just trying to buy ammo so they could eat.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they recorded all of these deer that they killed.
Right.
Who shot it? Yeah. And then they had all these names for different part of the ranch. You know, like some of the I've never been there, but some of the names were like Blaine Mountain, Stump Pasture,
Bear Creek,
Bear Valley.
Oh, Bear Valley.
Whatever. And so they'd have all these locations of where they shot this deer, the date, everything along like that. Now, I would say, I think the point of it's been 7 years, so legally...
You can't be... That's for tax evasion, I think. I don't think that's for...
Oh.
I don't know what you're about to admit, but...
What's the thing?
What illegal thing are we...
The statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations. I think the statute of limitations is up on all that, so... If
on
the,
what?
Maybe it's not. I don't know. If OSP, I know all the local OSP game wardens. So, hey, buddy, if you're listening,
it wasn't me.
Shush. So it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Anyways, but it's really cool. And so what
are you admitting to? I'm so confused.
I'm not admitting to anything, but if we actually showed the black book, it would show.
Bro, we're talking
stuff.
about like 1980s. Shoot, man. I mean,
they were off the ranch, but exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Regardless, I grew up blacktail hunting, and it was something super special. I shot my first buck. My first buck was a 4-point with my Uncle Joe. I shot it with a muzzleloader.
That was right next to the ranch.
Yeah, it was right next to the ranch. And just got a super passion for blacktail hunting, mainly because I kind of like things that not everyone else in the world
100%.
has and does.
100%.
I like niche things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the blacktail hunting is super niche. And
if everyone's doing it, Wesley won't do it on purpose.
that is true.
Yeah.
If I will go out of my way to
not do the thing that everyone's doing.
Yes,
absolutely.
that is 100% me.
Yeah.
But the other thing is to even make the niche even a little bit more niche-ier is I like specifically like the valley hunting.
Yeah.
Like there's some guys that are local around here in the valley that like they shoot monsters up on the pass and they'll go to Southern Oregon and everyone knows where they're hunting down there and they're shooting big bucks. Yeah. That's cool. That's great. Yeah. Those are big blacktail down there. There's basically like one unit. Yeah. But regardless, I want to shoot them like in my backyard. Not literally backyard, but like I like
in the homegrown area.
Yes, I like the challenge of shooting a buck, a bigger buck close. Yeah. And up until 2 years ago, I would have shot anything. Yeah. And actually that little 3-point right there, you can't see it, but since that buck, I've never passed on a legal deer until the last 2 years. Yeah. And this year and last year, I had multiple chances at shooting a little buck. Yeah. And
blacktail deer, it's just like you see a buck in daylight and it's a blessing. You know what I mean? Like
it's not like we're not hunting whitetails. Yeah. We're not.
Especially when you're hunting, like if you're in Medford and you can go hunt like some big grassy fields or whatever, like, you know, big open hillsides, you can go shoot with a rifle from 300, 400 yards. Like, I think even that's a little different than the valley because it's so thick. Like, and that's the difference between the whitetail hunting is you're setting up on fields, food plots. You just don't really do that for blacktail.
Yeah, you're hunting the edges, or you're hunting you're hunting the trails going from the bedding to the
terrain is way different. I mean, you can hunt clear cuts, and especially when we're talking about archery hunting. Rifle hunting is a little different because you can drive around and find some open spots and spot or whatever. But archery hunting, if you're gonna archery hunt and try and shoot big blacktail or blacktail at all, you're gonna be in thick stuff, you know, or find a meadow and inside some thick stuff and sit there a long time and just hope.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you, and I'm gonna talk about spat that I got into on Facebook about blacktail hunting.
So excited about this. I love Facebook spats.
What people are doing is they are now using infrared and night vision to spot deer in clear cuts.
On drones?
Yes. No, not in drones. Well, yes, in drones, but also they're just buying binoculars and stuff. And so what they can do is, you know, you can go hunt a burn or a clear cut system, and you could cover 30 miles and just scan the open hillsides.
And then just go hunt in the morning?
No, they'll just wait there. They'll just say, "Oh, there's a buck. Oh, there's a buck. 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 There's a buck." Okay.
You see like horns and everything.
No, you just see the heat.
Just heat.
Yeah. So
you can do it. No, you don't. But
Yeah.
you can cover 20 miles in a truck right before light and scan it all real quick.
20 miles.
Yeah, if you have
I mean,
an open
you
road,
closer,
if you haven't,
right?
no, people are literally driving in trucks,
Yeesh.
scanning, doing all that stuff.
That's crazy.
Now,
That's not legal though.
no, it's not.
It's not
OSP
legal.
just had a sting, and they recovered like 14 different counts of it, and they had posted a picture. I'll post a picture. They posted a picture of some bucks, some rifles, talking like a $6,000 rifle with a Night Force scope on it, all confiscated.
Goodness sakes.
All these binoculars, these binoculars and IR stuff. They're like starting at like $5,000.
Yeesh.
So I got in a spat online about, number one, I absolutely disagree with people doing that. And I don't think it's right. I think it's unfair for the deer. You cannot escape the heat stuff, the IR
right.
and all that. What my point of view is the thermals and everything, it's a new technology. And like every single thing before was a new technology, and it was approved. Scopes that dial, scopes that do your dope, movable sights, lighted knocks, expandables, e-bikes, like the list goes on.
Yeah.
So what my point of view is I wanted to know who the arbiters were of deciding what is legal and what's not, and where the actual line is.
I mean, it comes into like down to even ethical and moral dilemmas, though. And
correct.
It takes a little bit to debate and figure out where stuff lines up.
Correct. And my thing is I wanted to know who in the state or who for ODFW or whatever is actually deciding those things. Because is it going to be something that's voted on? Is it a panel?
Is it something voted on? Because they vote to use dogs and all that stuff too. So where's maybe if it's a minor addition to something, they don't need to vote on it. But I don't know how that works.
Yeah. And so my whole thing is I was like, well, if someone's going to deem that the IR infrared, the IR is unethical, we might not stop there. It might be, if your scope dials.
Yeah.
If your scope dials so where you can shoot that far.
I mean, it's just like everything though, dude. I mean, it's like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got 15 by 56 Swaro, whatever. I mentioned the 15 by 56 EL, and someone's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. They don't make a 15 by 56 in EL. I'm like, okay, sorry, I'm not a Swaro guy. But regardless, my thing is just like, who is voting on that? And like, I don't know. I just think it's a slippery slope as far as something getting taken away from us. And I'm not trying to make the point for thermals being okay. That was never the point.
You're saying we give it
and I was just saying that, like, well, man, we've got a crap load of technology we're already able to use. The sheep guides are spotting rings on the sheep with their optics from 1,500 yards away.
Well,
so we can't. And I was like, guys that are. It's a valid point that a deer cannot escape the IR and the thermal stuff. But at the same point, if you're worth half a shit behind your glass, you're going to see a lot. Now you're not going to see all the deer. I understand that. But you're going to see a lot if you know what you're looking for.
I think that's a huge advantage. And that's what, but you can't hunt like in Oregon with the, whatever that sight is for your bow that automatically ranges for you and all that.
The Garmin sight.
Yeah, like you can't hunt with that.
Yeah, and you can't hunt with the BDX SIG stuff.
Nope.
You can't with rifle. You can.
You can hunt with the scope, but it's got to be disconnected.
Correct.
Yeah, but you can like range find it and it like connects to your. Yeah.
No.
Weren't they doing that? Not in Oregon, but they're doing different places.
Can you?
They were doing that for elk.
No.
I think you can still connect it preemptively, and then it gives you the dope. but I don't. If you have that red dot in there and it's
the yellow dot, but yeah, if you have the yellow dot that actually
moves
and it moves up and down your reticle, no,
not anywhere,
not in Oregon.
Yeah, not in Oregon. That's what I'm saying. But they use it like Wyoming.
Oh yeah,
that's
yes. I don't know. Well,
Oregon's always the last to come along. I mean, we can use expandables, which is just like helps you kill the animal quicker. Couldn't use lighted Nox. So I'm just like, I mean, they've been slow to add technology for sure. So I doubt they're gonna add, I mean, IR stuff quickly if they do.
Yeah, and it's illegal.
Yeah,
it is illegal, and
I think it should be. Probably.
And the thing about it is I was like, well, you know what? I can see where if I went to Nevada or if I went to even Southern Oregon and was scanning IR and thermal, I have looked through some of that and used that before. Not in the state of Oregon, but in Texas, where it was legal and we were hunting axis deer, and someone had one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I spotted some axis deer. Yeah, I did not shoot an axis deer. It did not help me. I mean, if I would have waited 10 minutes for it to be light, all the axis deer were on the hill. I was like, oh, there they are. Okay, I didn't even actually need the IR. It didn't help me at all.
Yeah. The Blacktail, man.
Yeah. But the Blacktail thing, the reason why I was bringing that up is because Blacktail are so nocturnal in their habits of when they're on their feet.
Yeah. Big whitetail are too, though. It's just, Blacktail is just like a different game, though. It seems like
there's the buck that they won't come out for the whole season in some cases during the daylight, or you won't see them on camera or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's been seasons where you haven't gotten a buck on camera in daylight, but they're there consistently night over night.
Yeah, and the thought process on how to kill that buck is to then move your cameras. And because it's somewhere during the day. And so if it's bedding in this fern, hillside, you have to figure out where he's at, and you got to get as close as you possibly can, get up there in your hang on or whatever it is, and be in a position to kill it as soon as it stands up or walks 50 yards.
Got it.
Like that's how you're going to shoot that big blacktail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One time, Wesley and I went hunting. I had archery tag. Went blacktail hunting on, I think it might have been Thanksgiving morning. It's pouring rain. Wesley was rattling for me. And we were like right on this little bench, expecting bucks to come up over the bench.
So we're kind of on this benchy ridge, and there's this hillside that went down. It was all covered in ferns.
And everything's thick. So, I mean, obviously.
Unless you live in Oregon or these actual thick areas, you don't understand what thick is.
So, I mean, like, I'm hoping for like a 15-yard shot, And we were like still hunting on the ground, which doesn't usually work out very well for archery blacktail hunting.
You're usually going to bump a bunch of big bucks.
But nonetheless, we were doing it, giving her the old college try. And Wesley's behind me rattling. You had a rifle tag that year, I think. But anyways, I'm just like sitting there waiting, and I turn around, and Wesley is on his back with his his hands up in the air, throws his antlers like this, and he's like, and this buck had walked in just like bobbing its head.
No, it sprinted
in, bobbing its head, and Wesley's holding two antlers like this and looks over, and came in from behind me. And what was it, like 5 yards?
I think it was 9.
9
so
yards?
I was behind Will about 20 yards, just rattling, and Will's kind of on the edge of this bench where, if a buck stands up in the ferns, he can hopefully shoot it.
Yeah.
Or as it makes its way up, he can shoot it. I didn't know, but there was a buck bedded probably about 30 yards.
And it was so rainy that we could be quiet. Like we were just sneaking around. Nothing hurt us.
No. His buck was probably bedded like 30 yards away from me. It's kind of in a little strip of timber. And I'm sitting just against a huge fir tree, like 3-4 foot wide fir tree, and I'm just cranking these antlers together, and all of a sudden I just see a buck stand up. And if you ever see a buck run, not like hop or like trot, but if you ever see a buck run, it looks really awkward because their legs go forward and they actually like pull like they're sprinting. It looks really strange, and that's exactly what this buck did. He jumps over these ferns, and I just remember seeing the white in the buck's eyes. I just remember being like, and this buck's just like got his head up, and I just see the white, and then all of a sudden this buck just kind of jumps over these ferns about like 10 yards away from me, and I dropped the antlers because I was like, he thinks I'm a buck.
You got me. You got me.
I remember seeing the whites of Wesley's eyes.
I just dropped the antlers, and the buck like stops and like sees me and just bounds the other way, and I was like, what? And Will's like, what's going? He didn't.
I turned around.
Did you
and
even hear the deer?
I turned around and was on the ground on his back. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Deer. I'm like,
Did you even see it?
No, never saw it. Never saw
Did you hear it?
No. It was windy and rainy. And
the exact day you're supposed to be in the woods.
Yeah. Dude,
that's pretty wild that you didn't hear it being pretty.
I think close. I heard it take off. And I turned around and couldn't see it.
Okay.
So it was running through berry bushes and all that. You could hear it, but
that doesn't happen every time you tickle some antlers together.
No, it does not.
That's pretty.
Usually you end up going home wet.
Yeah, but I'm working on a Blacktail film. Our partner, our fourth partner in crime, 4 of the 5, Mason, he's got way more patience than I have, and he's newer to the blacktail hunting, and he's passed up. He's passed up bucks that I would have shot. Still, I would shoot now because he has. I don't know. I see red. A calf comes running down the road, and I'm yelling, "Shoot it!"
Yeah.
So a basket rack 3-point comes in, and I'm jerking dirty on that thing.
Yeah.
But
he's got giants on camera, and it helps when you have tanks on camera.
It does.
So then when a 3-point comes in, you're like, okay, I can wait.
Yeah.
But
and so he Mason was hunting these 2 particular deers up near where he lives, and they were giants.
Yeah.
And another spot where he has permission to hunt a blacktail that he ended up killing daylighted one day. It daylighted at like 7:40. And he's like, dude, this 4-point just showed up. And I was like, you got to go tomorrow. You have to go tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, I know. I think I'm going to see it and then I'll shoot it. And then I won't be able to shoot one of these because these other bucks are like in the 140s.
I was going to say
140s, 150s range.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is a great 4-point.
Is the one he shot you think is 130?
No.
No?
Like 125, something like that.
Not even close to 130. Like 125. Gosh.
That 5-inch, but that
this far away from being 130.
Yeah, that actually is a good measurement. That's how far. We're talking about not very much.
Okay,
here.
it's like a 5-pound bass.
Yeah.
It's like a 5-pound bass or a 300-pound bear. People throw those numbers out all the time. I was like, that's
like a goldfish right now.
Yeah. But I was like, every time I see someone post a 5-pound bass, I'm like, dude, that's like a 3.5 pounder.
Yeah,
this is a 300-pound bear. I'm like, dude, you picked that whole thing up.
Yeah.
That's not a 300-pound bear. Yeah. So that's why I say those numbers like that. But it daylighted one day, and it was iffy on if the landowner would let him shoot it with a rifle or a bow. And so I was communicating with him, and I actually was hunting, and he says, okay, I got the okay. So I left my hunting spot. I drove out there. I said, tell the guy that I'm going to come be out there. And he was at work, so he doesn't see this. So I go out there, and I hang 2 stands. And then as I'm hanging up the stands, he calls me. He goes, dude, are you hanging stands up there? And I'm like, yeah, you got to shoot this thing tomorrow. And he's like, oh, they told me I could shoot it with a rifle. And I was like, gosh. So I just left the 2 stands up there. And then the next day we come in there and we were like, well, we could try and make this like look a little bit different. And I was like, but let's just make this kind of as easy as we think it's going to be. Let's just set up in the shed.
And you set up in the shed?
So
I thought you were in stands. And I was wondering,
no.
Shoot him out with a rifle on a stand. I was like, that's so weird.
Because I was like, dude, we have to kill this thing. I was like, you have to kill him. I was like, we're not shooting him with a bow, and then we're not gonna have it die on someone else's property, and then we got to call OSP and all. We're not gonna do that. Where it's legal, you're in an area where it's legal to shoot it with a rifle. You got the rifle tag.
Yep.
Well, you're shooting it. And sure enough, we sat up there, and the day before, the buck came out at like 7:37, and he shot it the next day at 7:41 or something ridiculous like that. I mean, it was like clockwork.
Dude,
and it was just like there were some does. He was in a total another area. And then actually, we picked him up. We picked him up that morning at like 6:15 on the other side of the mountain on another camera. And I was like, dude, I don't know if he's gonna come in. Yeah, we have the photos of him across the mountain, and he just made a beeline straight. Like, I was like, man, dude, I don't know how long it's gonna take him to get here if he gets here, but it was like close to like 1,500 yards.
Jeez.
Through this, over this, through this, and around that.
In an hour?
Like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Just made his way up.
And
he did that the other day too. Then
he did not do that the other day. He was not across the mountain, and so he was just.
At least he wasn't on camera. Across the mountain.
Correct. And so we didn't know where he was before that. But
interesting.
Yeah, it was super interesting, and he ended up just putting the film is going to look like that we just walked out there and shot a buck out of the backyard. Which technically we did do that, but I need to tell you, Mason sat so freaking much.
Yeah.
Yep.
So much.
It's well deserved.
Trying to shoot one of those giant bucks out of the stand.
It's so hard, man. He's well deserved though.
Yeah.
Dude, and that buck, the pictures you sent me, he looks big, but when he's standing there, he looks so tall.
He does.
I'm like, he looks way bigger alive than he did dead to me.
He looks way bigger alive.
And his antlers like got that like brown maroon like weird tint to him. I'm like, he just looks like such a cool dude, man. It's pretty.
Have you ever heard of the term ground shrinkage?
Yeah.
It's
like after they're on the ground.
Yeah.
They got antlers up in the air, on their head. And so just everything just looks a little bit beefier.
Yeah, and we got some video and photos of him walking away from us, and deer always look bigger walking away from you. I'm like, oh my God, that's a 140-inch buck. I was like, he is so tall, so wide.
It's not even close. He's 125.
Yeah. So, anyways, there was a little bit of ground shrinkage. Still an incredible buck.
Absolutely.
Incredible buck.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to put this together.
When I watched it, I was like, oh man, this looks great. This could be like a backcountry hunt. And then it shoots it, and I'm like, camera turns, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think you can. I don't know if our coffees were still hot, but you can see the bobcat, you can see the log splitter behind us, you can see all those stuff.
That's pretty funny.
So funny.
Yeah.
But these guys that are shooting big bucks, they're doing they're doing the same type of stuff. They're spending so much money to go hunt these places a lot of the time. Like you could say it's similar type deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
like it's hard to hunt no matter where you are.
Are you trying to compete to like have the hardest hunt all the time? Like I get that. Like I want to challenge myself also, but like sometimes it's like, dude, I just want to shoot a deer.
And Mason said that. Yeah. Mason said that too. He's like, yeah, I just kind of wanted to shoot him, over here. I wanted to do it this way. And I was like, dude, I promise you are going to have those chances.
Yeah.
When, don't look, what's the phrase? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And I was like, dude, you have to take, I was going to be borderline pissed because I was like, you're not effing passing up a 4 points.
Yeah.
Well,
and the comparison's such a thief, and I think that's what like Instagram has done too. Is like you see this guy, he's like, yeah, I hunted 4 days, backpacked in, I shot this giant mule deer at 4 yards because I stalked in it, and it's just like, which is so dope, and I want to go do, but I'm like, not every hunt's gonna be like that, and can I do that this year? And what access do I have to like being successful? You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna just take the most likely route to success. And it's like, how often do you have chances like that? It's one thing if you have a giant ranch and you can just shoot a deer off your back porch every year that's that big. But like, how often is Mason gonna be able to do that for the rest of his life? Like, just shoot a giant deer out of a shed? Like, just go do it, dude. Who cares?
Yeah, right. So don't worry about what everyone else is gonna say.
Dude, who cares, man? He shot a giant buck, and he put in all the work for it. It's not like it didn't take any work.
Yeah, he put in all the work for different deer, and this one just happened,
right?
Which it's like,
right.
Yep. And I will say, there was one deer in particular that he was hunting that if it was worth
the one that broke,
if it was worth,
yes, that's right.
If it was worth to pass up that 4 point, it would have been this year, and it would have been for that buck.
He's still alive.
I think he's still alive, but another reason why Mason was willing to go shoot that 4-point is because that buck broke.
Yeah, right.
And so he broke, and
see, the thing was so big. Oh my
it's big. That's a big buck, non-typical buck.
He's probably close to 130.
Yeah,
I don't know how that would score because it's non-typical.
Yeah,
and so I don't know how they actually score it. Like they score it completely different.
Right.
Like you don't deduct the difference, and I'm
just like, what's the gross score? You know what I mean?
Yeah, nets are for fish.
Yeah. Just give me the full thing.
Yeah. Is this over your head?
It's over my head. I'm yeah. Dude, I've never gotten into the scoring or the measurements and. I haven't either. Whoa, I think it's just a clickbait thing. A little. I mean,
some people are.
That's why it's gotten so big, because it's like it's a competition type, which is fine. I'm all for some competition. Let's go shoot the smallest buck. I bet no one can beat me at that right now.
Oh gosh.
Let's have a little competition.
Dude,
you tried to shoot another one of those this year too.
One time I found a shed smaller than that.
I have one about that size. It's like one of my favorite finds. Like, yay big. Yeah.
But it's all fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hunting's hard. Take what you can get sometimes.
Comparison's a thief, bro.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I got one thing that Mason and I both can do really well is find big blacktail and get them on camera. Killing them is another thing.
Right.
So I actually went through all my trail cam photos the last couple weeks, and I have 9,000 trail cam photos from the last, 6-7 years of hard hunting.
If only those look good on the wall.
If only they look good on the wall and tasted good.
Right.
But I'm pretty excited about it. Be able to show people some of the deer we're chasing.
Yeah. It'd be sick if blacktail could blow up a little bit like the whitetail game. But we need a whitetail logo.
We do.
So we need a chance to get
I got a little whitetail up there.
You do?
Yeah. It's smaller than that little blacktail.
Yep. Little Oregon whitetail.
Yep.
So, video coming or vlog coming.
Yeah, a little vlog of that.
Yeah.
Huh. We do have a couple videos coming down the pipeline now that we're kind of back in the swing of things.
Yeah, the blacktail one's a big one because that's kind of like your passion, especially. Like that's a little bit more to that than just me shooting. It's not me shooting a blacktail. Like I don't know. Yeah. It means something, but I'm still just at that point I'm hunting.
Yeah.
Like there's more to your passion and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Means a little bit more.
Yeah. So we got an antelope hunt coming. We're putting the antelope stuff that the antelope buck that
we shot
together. Yeah. We're just throwing together some video stuff that I got of that. Fun. And we're gonna I think we want to try and do it side by side with the one that we just went on, or maybe not.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. I think it's just when you get into videos and you just kind of feel it.
Yeah,
maybe you get a little.
So I drew an antelope tag this last year, a 1-pointer, and
it's 1 point for a reason.
It was 1 point for a freaking reason. I'll tell you that. I will say my goal going into it was spot an antelope buck, get a stock. That's what I wanted.
You tried to shoot with your bow too, right?
Yeah, it's archery.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know it was archery. Okay.
And we did.
Yep, we did. We certainly did.
You will laugh your ass off.
Stalker decoys, we need a sponsor.
No. I don't know if we do.
It worked for elk. That thing works.
Hindsight, it was a little bit robust. Or a little bit too much. We had 3 decoys.
In unison, parallel, just like marching like an army. These animals are like, what the heck kind of formation is that?
The buck was intrigued and might have come in if it was by itself.
Yeah.
The does.
We could maybe got closer, yeah.
Yeah. Smoke City with a rifle, by the way.
Yeah.
But
within 200 yards when we got close.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, we were pretty close.
Yeah.
That's
sub 200. Bro, those things can spot you from a mile away. So
right.
200.
And that's about how open the area was. I mean, it took us an hour and a half to get down there.
So going from the draw tag that I had with you to there, I'm like, this place sucks.
Yeah.
The antelope don't even like this. I was like, it's not open. There's junipers everywhere. I can shoot them from a tree stand.
Yeah.
I was like,
well,
we drove the whole unit. We literally drove around the whole unit. Not a figment of speech. Literally drove around the whole unit.
Yeah.
Went into California, came back in, like went around the whole unit. And I was like, we got to find a more open area.
Yeah.
And we're like looking on X, where's this? We got out of the road a little bit. And I was like, well, looks like, oh, okay, stop the truck. And so we like, stop the truck. I'm like, if we hike like a mile this way, we should be able to see into this area.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's exactly what we did. And it was the funniest spot ever.
Oh my gosh.
So
I forget about this. Actually,
so there's this big body of water, and we sit down and we're glassing from where we're at this huge vast area.
Yeah.
This body of water,
as far as you can see in
Yeah.
regular binoculars, basically.
Yeah, like you pull up your binoculars and you're seeing like dots and like
Yep.
heat waves.
Yeah.
And we sit down and there's a bunch of like seagulls, like white seagulls,
Yeah.
like all along
On the water.
Yeah, they're flying, they're landing, they're going, whatever. We sit down, and all of a sudden, Mason, he's like, "Wait, is that an antelope?"
He said, "Is that an eagle?"
Oh yes, yes.
There he said, I just spotted an eagle, guys." All nonchalant, like, "Oh, cool, Mason, good job. You spotted an eagle. We're not hunting eagles today. We're not trying to do that." Well, yeah.
And he goes, "Wait, what? Oh, this eagle just turned into an antelope." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I like get in his spotter. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'll go, "That's a buck."
I can totally picture Mason saying that.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
There was a gap there too.
Yeah.
Like we'd been staring at these quote unquote seagulls.
Yeah, and they're all
they're all antelope. That's how far away they were.
Jeez, bro.
Yeah. And then made a hefty jaunt.
Yeah. And about an hour and a half.
I was like, dude, we got to go all the way around because it's flat, straight to him.
An hour and a half.
Actually, and we were probably lifted up a little bit too.
Yes.
Down, so it would have been worse even.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we
So
took
they
the
really
long.
go.
I'm like,
That's
dude.
the stock that takes your wind out of your sails for the hunt. You're like, all right.
Well,
It wasn't necessarily hard.
Well, no, I mean just like morale. You're like, we just spent like literally a whole day, on that, and then it ended. The stock ended as soon as it started. Like,
Yes.
you get out of the truck, they run away.
That's the fun. That's the crazy part. Was
Did you have that on video?
yeah.
Oh,
just,
yeah.
Just boom. Just like a Mason was filming from 200 yards back.
Yeah.
Through the spotting scope, and he's
Yeah.
got us, and you could see in there like we're kind of game planning and all this stuff. We're getting the decoy set up on the camera, and I'm 6'4", and I'm like,
how tall is an antelope?
Wes
bend over.
Wes is fully standing straight up, and I'm like this, almost right behind him, and then
I've got a predator decoy on the bow, and I'm holding a stalker or a Montana decoy.
Moving sideways.
I'm like,
is it a front?
I'm like moving it like
Yeah.
this. I'm trying to like move. I've got the one facing forward on my bow, and I got the other one. I'm trying to like make it look like that it's moving, right? As we're walking.
I've seen so many.
They
Instagram
literally
videos.
see us from like 200 yards and just boom.
yeah,
It was the most anticlimactic thing
I've
ever.
seen so many Instagram videos of dudes just walking in on a clover field straight to him.
we watched some of those too
And you're like-
after our hunt.
Yeah, and, you're
And we're like,
no way.
That is not how that worked.
Those are those must be pet antelope or something. Like, there's no way that works.
Some of them had like big, huge decoys where like two people could stand behind them.
A cattle.
Cattle
yeah,
one.
old red or big red or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been a game changer because there was cattle
And I-
Oh.
about 300,
Were you
400 yards
scared?
away. No, not that time. But they were far enough away. But
Yeah, I think if I would have gone solo with a cow decoy, I could have got it done. Because there was
At some
cows
point, you gotta set
within
the
like
decoy down,
100.
though? Or do you have stakes with it? Like at some point, how do you?
I mean, it's like a huge fan.
We can be 50 yards and you gotta like do something with the decoy.
Well, I have hunted black bear with a cow decoy, but that's another story.
That's the story.
And it would have been big enough and it would have worked. It covers, it's like freaking huge.
God.
yeah, we have some things that are. It's all just kind of fun, and it's a hobby type deal that we can share with our kids, share with family, share with YouTube, whoever wants to watch if they want. If
It's a hobby till it's not, though.
Well,
You never know.
Yeah, it's something outside of work that's
100%.
Life
a
giving
little
a
bit
little
more.
bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's
For sure. I was bummed I didn't get a whitetail for you guys this year. I wanted to send you something. Pesky little suckers. Smart.
You got anything else, Will?
Bro, well, actually, I was gonna ask you, what are your hunting plans for 2025?
Oh, now you're interviewing us.
I just threw out the question. It doesn't have to be like a long. Just curious about if you have.
I don't think we know. There's a mark on my calendar, January 7th or January 8th, and it's at my work calendar. And it says call Wes, 8 a.m. So I think there's a conversation to be had there.
Ooh.
You don't even know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know what it is. I know it's about hunting. It says hunting.
Yeah.
So Did I tell you to coordinate this?
No, I told myself.
Oh, okay.
I am calling you on that day. Okay. And if you don't answer, I guess we're not hunting together for the season. So there's some pressure here. Some pressure.
I haven't spoken about this, but I want to try and kill 3 bears this year.
How do you? Oh, just out of state?
Well,
no, just in.
There is a possibility of out of state.
How do you
California?
Get 3 bears in Oregon?
Well, you can shoot one in spring if you draw.
Yeah.
And then you buy your fall bear tag, and if you shoot one, then you can get a second.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't
they'll
know.
let you get a second.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Bro, well, hit the coast what's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have to try and get that black bear. So get one on film.
We've got a ton of.
You got any rifles now, bro? You got all the things you need. Send it down range, baby.
There's one deer hunt I want to do. I don't know if it'll be this year. It's a Southern Oregon early August hunt. There's a pretty good chance you could draw on the first try.
Yeah.
We've been in the area. We know there's big bucks down there.
Bro, I was thinking about that one road that we used to go up down there and spot Blacktail.
Yeah.
Stock Blacktail.
That area.
I was thinking about that.
A different area.
I know, but I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, that's fun. We could actually crush them. Yeah. If we hit that hard, like we could actually crush them deer.
Other than that, though, I would like to shoot a nutria. I want to go spearfishing carp at Old Fern Ridge.
Come to my house, dude.
Yeah. I also still want to get on the kayak and get in the ocean, and I want to bottom fish. I want to throw
all film.
I just saw a video of a guy somewhere off the coast had found a giant great white shark free diving.
Yeah.
Off Oregon.
Yep. That's about the rock that we'd go to. That's where they're free diving a lot of the time.
I will pass.
That.
Hard.
There's tons of sharks out there.
Part-time hunter, not part-time ocean master. I'm out.
We'll rent a kayak for you, Wes, and
you need a 16-foot boat. That's what he needs.
Yeah, sled with an engine. I'll take that.
Yeah,
you'll take that.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Or I'll get my 72-year-old dad to go with me.
Bro, he's got more stones than I do. He's beast.
Anyway, those are the only the 3 things. I don't think the nutria is going to happen this year.
Why? Dude, I'll take you out right now.
Yeah, find one. We go hit some of my uncle's fields.
Well, I want to do either February. Well, I want to
with the bow or the rifle.
Rifle or bow.
Or tannerite or whatever.
I want to do a bow. I want to do a kill, clean, cook. I've heard they're good. You just got to watch out. There is a rat parasite, whatever it is.
Bro, that's disgusting.
It's kind of like a bear. Like they're kind of like
worms and infested.
It's like a bear. Trichinosis is
same.
It's the same thing. You just gotta cook it enough. And
I was on a job site where someone asked me if I wanted some jerky, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take some jerky." I mean, he gave like the whole job site jerky,
nutria,
and I don't even think it was that day. I think it was another day. He comes in, he starts talking about eating nutria, and I'm like, yeah, bro, no, I'm not eating nutria. He's like, oh, you've had nutria, and I'm like, I've never had nutria. And he's like, yeah, the other day that jerky was nutria. And I was like,
son of a gun.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about with rewrapping the elk.
Yeah,
saying it's beef.
Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, that's jerky. It's marinated in soy sauce and teriyaki sauce and brown sugar.
I'm talking about if I shoot a nutria, I'm having a steak.
Good for you, man.
I wish
I want to try it.
Actually, something I'm really excited for this year is I'm going to take my daughter cottontail hunting. Oh. You know all those roads we were hunting and saw how many rabbits did we see this year? Plenty. So got her a little 22, and she's gonna put a little 2-power scope on it.
Nice.
Yeah, sometime in like August.
Yeah,
take her up there and in the early morning or something, and we're gonna practice on pop cans and stuff first. But I'm excited for that.
Nice.
I'm gonna get her to shoot a couple rabbits.
Boom.
If I get my 4-year-old son to
let go of the gun for a minute,
let go of the gun for a minute and teach him some safety things, then I'll take him. But if not, my daughter will do exactly
what you say,
what I say.
Yeah,
nice. Exactly. Yes, Daddy. Okay. Okay. Yes, Dad. So we'll see.
Yeah. Nice.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited for that.
Solid.
What about you?
Whitetail.
Dude, I don't know. I really want to shoot a bear. South Carolina season's like 2 weeks long, which is super annoying.
Tough. Can you bait or not?
No.
Can you bait in North Carolina?
I doubt it. I do want to go to North Carolina. The bears are bigger. There's more bears, and their season's like a month. So I'd like to hit that next year. I just need to get a lead on some areas. I just haven't ventured up there yet. So that would be a good thing. And that's the other thing. It's pretty cheap to go across state lines for the most part compared to here, So.
When you get that locked in and you get an area that we can hunt or something, we definitely that's something I would want to
especially is it fall bear?
Yeah, it's October.
Oh, okay, well, that might work.
Well, and I was gonna say deer especially because you guys could come out for so cheap and just like if I feel like I actually got a spot locked down this year, so it took me all year to find it, but I'm pretty excited about that. So we can kind of suss it out at the beginning of season next year, and if it's good, you guys fly out on like a weekend and just probably $150.
Yeah, and
for tag, you can shoot 3 deer, 4 deer.
For like people who have never hunted out of state before, or for us, it's like driving to Bend, and you're in a whole new state.
Yeah, dude, states are. I'm an hour from North Carolina. I'm 2 hours from Georgia.
So 3 hours. You drive 3 hours to.
You drive 3 hours, and you can shoot 6 more deer.
Yeah,
in that state.
I mean, you do have to have a spot, and a lot. There's not a ton of public land. You can just go pull up Onyx, find a national forest, and the public land, the big one might be on the other side of the state. So it's not quite that simple, but the WMA stuff's tough. Hunting the public land, wrestling around with public land, especially if you really want to be an archery dude, it's tough. But I feel like I'm getting closer, and the saddle game has really helped a lot. So I'm excited to dive into that a little more. But we'll see. I got some decent bucks on camera. Everyone told me no, you can't shoot anything big on public land. There's a bunch of little deer.
You had some nice deer.
I had some nice bucks. I'd show some people wow, that's public land. I'm like, yeah, suck it. Found big deer.
Yep.
You're just too lazy, and you didn't want to go hunt public land. So,
I will say something over there is it's easy walking.
Oh my gosh, dude!
We hunt for blacktail around here and go 7 miles, and we can go 25 over there.
Yeah.
But there's not a big enough area for that.
I know. I'm just saying.
Actually, I am hunting a national forest area. It's pretty big right now. It's pretty big. There's a lot of area. And but when I go in Onyx to kind of scope out where I think deer are gonna move and how funnels and all that, I exaggerate the topo on the 3D, so it's all the way. And I'll be I'll look at Onyx. I'm like, oh, I'll go hit that ridge right there. And I'm like, man, it's gonna be a walk. And then I'll start walking. I'm like, oh, I'm here. I didn't even went up 45 feet of elevation. I'm like, okay, well, not like Oregon.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some pretty intense stuff in the border of North Carolina, South Carolina. That's where there's some big bears.
Okay.
And it's pretty dang steep. There's some cliffs, faces you can't actually climb.
We like cliffs.
And that's where I found some big deer too. It's just a hour walk in, basically 45-minute walk in. So. And it's an hour to drive there. So I'd try to hunt that area, hunt somewhere close to my house.
Yeah. All right.
But dude, thanks for having me on.
That's all I got. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, dude.
All the way from South Carolina just for a podcast.
Just for the garage cast.
Just for the garage cast to have it on.
Can we get a new name?
That might stick. Parttime cast. We'll workshop that.
We'll work on it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
You got any closing messages?
No. Just getting wrapped up. Just, remember your applications if you're still listening to this. Remember your application season. I actually don't post and remind people. There's some people that post. Hey, remember?
You might get a leg up on people.
Yeah, we might get a leg up. There might be 2 people out there that forget to apply for Wyoming. And it's suck it.
It's funny because you're the one that forgets.
Yeah.
All right. Now on that note,
peace out, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
It's been real.
To our 10.